We're all set.
Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call the March 13th, 2024 meeting of the Open Space Board of Trustees to order. And I will call the roll. Harmon? Right here. Michelle?
Here.
John? Present. And Brady? Here. And I am here as well, so we have a full board tonight. Before we start, I just want to say the agenda will be a little different than the traditional agenda. We're going to start with matters from the department. And Dan, do you want to introduce this, or should I just?
Sure, I could just do a quick introduction, turn it over to you.
Okay.
Yeah, so our one matters from the department today is to provide you an update of our Fort Chambers Port Farm site plan implementation project. And we are very honored to have our partners in development of this plan with us tonight. And we'll do some introductions in just a bit, but this is part of a multi-year effort to look at the future of this 119-acre property that we purchased a few years ago. And we are doing this in collaboration and in partnership with 3 of the tribal nations that were significantly impacted by the Sand Creek Massacre, and this property has a direct connection to that. And it's just been an honor and a privilege to have been working with them over the past few years. And tonight you'll hear a little bit about our collaboration, what we've come up with, and then most of all, to provide the opportunity for the trustees and our tribal members, representatives, to have a conversation tonight. So that's the purpose, and turn it back to you, Dave, for a little introduction.
Thank you. So the first item on the agenda tonight will be an update of the site management plan for the Open Space and Mountain Parks Fort Chambers Port Farm property. This plan is being developed in partnership with representatives from the Northern Cheyenne, Northern Arapaho, and Southern Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes, the 3 tribal nations who were greatly impacted by the Sand Creek Massacre. The Fort Chambers property has a direct connection to the massacre. So let me begin by saying what an honor it is to welcome the tribal representatives to our meeting tonight. The board appreciates the opportunity to meet with the tribes on the future of this property that is so historically significant. And we are grateful for this partnership with the city and the opportunity to work together in developing a future plan for this important property. We look forward to hearing from everyone tonight, including hearing from our tribal partners. Before introductions, though, let's pause for a moment to reflect on the history of this area in the Boulder Valley as I read this land acknowledgement for the city of Boulder. The city of Boulder acknowledges that the city is on the ancestral homelands and unceded territory of indigenous peoples who have traversed, lived in, and stewarded lands in the Boulder Valley since time immemorial. The city recognizes that the history of Fort Chambers is part of the American-European colonization that violently exiled indigenous peoples from their homelands and is a direct local connection to the Sand Creek Massacre. When we speak of the history of Fort Chambers, we understand that in 1864, more than 100 Boulder County men trained and mobilized at Fort Chambers before participating in the massacre of peaceful Cheyenne and Arapaho people at Sand Creek. These training grounds are the site we will be discussing tonight. Thank you. Now I turn it over to Director Dan Burke, who will lead introductions.
Great. Thank you, Dave. So I thought what I would do first is just introduce the staff who are going to be presenting tonight, and then would like to have our guests introduce themselves, and then the trustees. So just for the record, I'm Dan Burke, Open Space and Mountain Parks Director. Katie?
I'm Katie Knapp. I'm Principal Planner with Open Space and Mountain Parks.
And I'm Casey French, the Planning and Design Senior Manager for Open Space and Mountain Parks.
Well, why don't we go around the table? Teresa, if you.
Yes, Teresa Taylor Tate, City Attorney.
Great. We'll go this way, Harmon.
Yeah, I'm Harmon Zuckerman. I'm on the Open Space Board. John Carroll, I'm on the Open Space Board.
Dave Kuntz, Chair of the Open Space Board.
Michelle Estrella, also a trustee on the board.
Brady Robinson, trustee.
Fred Mosquito with the Shine-a-Rap-Food Tribes.
Chester Whiteman, Shine Rappel Tribes.
Ben Ridgely, the Northern Rappel Tribe.
Dean Wall coming.
Thank you. Is Tiana joined us online or not? Okay.
I'll take a look for.
You want to just mention the Northern Cheyenne?
Yeah, there's another tribal partner that we've been working with, Tiana Limpy with the Northern Cheyenne tribe, who may be joining us virtually today. I guess one thing to mention about the Northern Cheyenne tribe is that we've also worked with William Walks Along, and he recently passed away. So there's a memorial for him on Thursday and Friday. So she's there for that. And it would be nice to maybe have a brief moment to recognize William as well.
Thank you. For those listening in, we did some opening prayers at dinner time. And as I understood it from Chester, that prayer covered this meeting as well. But I just want to, on behalf of the staff of the city of Boulder, just express our gratitude for you all taking the time to come and meet with us tonight, for all the time you've taken over the past couple of years. And I know that there's still a lot of work to be had, so we'll be spending a lot of time together in the future. And it's an honor to participate and learn and be creative together on what the possibilities are. And we look forward to presenting to the trustees the work that we've done to date. Before we go into the site plan and I turn things over to Casey, next slide, please. Just want to just set the stage for those of you who may not be that familiar with our Fort Chambers Port Farm property. This was a 115-acre site that we purchased back in 2018. As some of you who have followed the open space department for some time, acquisitions often take a long time. We may have had an interest in a certain property for a long time. This is one of those properties. It was sort of on our minds for a while. It just was one of those properties that hits all of our open space charter purposes, from agriculture to ecological to quality of life. And then there's the historic connections to Sand Creek. There's the historic significance of the buildings on the site. And it just sort of has all these values and all these elements wrapped into one. And so for a number of different reasons, we pursued acquisition of this property. And in 2018, we're able to put a purchase together and assume ownership and management of the property. There was a few short-term decisions we made from day one. And because the property was in continuous agriculture for many years, and if we let that stall, there was a great possibility that invasive weeds and degradation would take place. So we entered into short-term leases to keep the agricultural operations going until we were able to develop a longer-term site plan. We are also have been able to do some repairs to the house to keep it from further degrading. And so we have put some effort into it up until this point from the time we acquired it in 2018. But really what happens with newly acquired properties is we initiate a longer term vision for that property. And that's why we're here tonight, and to kind of talk a little bit more about that planning process that we typically go through and put that into context for other planning processes that we do. Casey is going to just kind of help us step through what that looks like real quick.
Sure, thanks, Dan. And so you touched on this. So in 2018, we went through a process to kind of identify the short-term actions Most of those related to maintenance, and we continued the agricultural stewardship on that land. And then in 2022, we kind of began the site management process. And in terms of how this plan fits in with OSMP's hierarchy of plans, it's essentially a property-specific integrated site project. So it's a more specific plan type, detailing on-the-ground actions, and for a relatively smaller geographic area. And upon initiating any site planning process, one of the first sets of questions we always ask ourselves is around engagement. Who to engage with and at what level. So this graphic shows the different levels of engagement that we can undertake in any planning process. As we work our way from the left to the right, there's increasing community impact on the decisions. So at the lower end of engagement is a commitment to inform the community. And at the other end is to collaborate, which is to partner in the decision making. And given Fort Chambers' connection to the Sand Creek Massacre, we decided we wanted to design a process to collaborate with the tribes impacted by the massacre and co-develop the plan. At the same time, we were also aware that the broader community's interest in this property. And so our upcoming community engagement falls within the consult category, where we will obtain some feedback. In terms of how the engagement fits into the overall planning process, as we've shown here, we've been collaborating with the tribes through all the phases of the project, from the first phase, which was focused on compiling and sharing out our site information, through exploring different opportunities and alternatives, and developing the draft concept plan based on the shared vision of heal the land and heal the people. So the star shows where we are now in the overall process, and that we have a draft concept plan developed and beginning our consult level engagement with the broader community. And when we conclude this upcoming phase 4 or the site planning process, in some ways it marks another beginning. We will start the ecological restoration and the plan recommendation elements, perhaps the farm renovation, as well as continue our collaboration with the tribes on the interpretive elements along the healing trail, explore what stories we want to tell and how we tell them, and as well as determining what we name any of the facilities, the trails or trailheads, which may be on the property, which would be the public facing name of this property in the future. And now I'm going to turn it over. Well, actually, it's been such an honor to collaborate with the tribes on this process. We're also looking forward to some broader community feedback. And now I'm going to turn things over to Katie, who's going to share some site information, introduce the draft concept plan, and talk a little bit more about next steps.
Thanks, Casey. So the Fort Chambers Poor Farm was one of many open space map park properties shown here on the map. For orientation, the city of Boulder is outlined in black with open space properties shown in green encircling the city area. The Fort Chambers Poor Farm property is located to the east of the city in Boulder County, and it's adjacent to other open space lands. Zooming into the property, here is a map of the site. It's about a 115-acre site. Kind of starting from the top of the screen here, there are some hay fields, house and farm structures located near the road. To the west, located to the road to the west, there's vegetable plots to the south. The eastern portion of the property is a mix of forested areas and ponds from gravel mining from the 1950s and 60s. There's also a large sanitary sewer line that crosses the property, shown here in green. And Boulder Creek is along the southeast edge. In the southwest corner of the property was a stone marker for Fort Chambers that had been installed in the late 1950s. The stone marker was located near the old intersection of Andrus and 63rd Street. It was removed last year with support from tribal representatives, the Open Space Board of Trustees, and the mayor, and is currently in storage. As we continue this project, we plan to work together to determine the future for the marker, possibly reinstalling it with some additional context to accurately describe the role of Boulder residents and the fort in the Sand Creek Massacre. There are also several buildings on the property. I'll now zoom into this area that's highlighted on the screen where the buildings are located. There are both farm and service buildings. The darker colored structures on the screen here are the farm buildings. There's a smokehouse, a milk house, and a silo. There are two houses that are shown here in gold. The lighter color. The northern house is smaller. It was built in 1959 and it was renovated after the city acquired the property in order to support agricultural tenants. The larger house to the south, it's sometimes referred to as the Wells House after the last family that had lived there. This house is historic. It's a prominent feature of the property, featuring Queen Anne Victorian style architecture. It was also the site of the Boulder County Poor Farm from 1902 to 1918, and it's listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Although some repairs had been done when the city first acquired the property to stabilize the structure, there are still some significant repairs needed, including structural modifications and utilities. But it has been stabilized with a new roof to help keep it from being further damaged. This is a significant agricultural property. 37 acres have historically been used for agriculture, with 6 to 8 acres supporting diversified vegetable farming. It has prime soils. There's fertile loamy soil from alluvial deposits. Senior water rights from North Boulder Farmers Ditch allow for full season watering in most years. The existing agricultural facilities and infrastructure also support on-site processing. The property supports a wide variety of wildlife, but it's dominated by non-native vegetation. Much of the property is converted agricultural grasslands, and there's also the open water ponds from past gravel mining operations and a variety of wetland types. Although the site supports a variety of wildlife, it has a low ecological value and significant restoration needs. The location adjacent to Boulder Creek provides good restoration opportunities. So understanding the existing site values and needs was an important first step in the planning process. Casey reviewed the overall planning process, but I wanted to highlight our team collaboration. This partnership with the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes has been a unique approach to our project planning and has been very meaningful. Throughout the process, we've met in person with site visits to consider the land and share thoughts and discuss potential improvements. The shared vision is to create a healing place for all. Heal the land, heal the people became the theme for the project. The concept plan has recommendations that are grouped into 4 main elements. In the next slides, we'll show the concept plan information that was included in the packet as attachment A. So the first page here is the overall concept plan. This concept plan envisions a healing place for all: community members, visitors, wildlife, agriculture, and natural ecosystems. The key elements are called out on the plan and are also described in more detail on the following pages. So the first element is ecological restoration, to heal the land from past land uses. A large-scale restoration project along the Boulder Creek corridor is recommended to improve ecological health, restore ponds that were left from gravel mining, remove berms to reconnect the floodplain, and create high-quality wetlands that support native wildlife. Restoration efforts could potentially extend to neighboring properties as well. Trash, debris, and noxious weed removal is also recommended, and some of that work has already begun. A healing trail with elements to support visitors and share the history of the site and its connection to the Sand Creek Massacre is also recommended. This concept includes about 0.8 miles of trails that are intended to support contemplative experiences. So with hiking only, no bikes, dogs, or other activities that would detract from the healing experience or interfere with native plant gardens. The site can offer valuable learning opportunities, and there is interest in bringing school groups here also. So the concept plan provides visitor access by way of an entrance drive that leads to a parking area with a bus drop-off. 2 access drive options are currently being evaluated. Bathroom facilities could also be installed to support visitor use. Farmstead improvements support agricultural operations. The site has a long history of agriculture that dates back to 1862. The concept plan includes recommendations to repair existing farm structures and restore the historic house to preserve and enhance existing agricultural uses. The house would support an agricultural tenant with educational opportunities explored as a secondary use. Now that we have a draft concept plan developed, we would like to hear what others think. So we will be seeking input on the plan through an online questionnaire, and we'll also host office hours for anyone that wants to meet with staff to provide input in an alternate way. The project website is also a great place to learn more about the site. And we have an interactive site site information available to learn about all of the different elements. So during this engagement period, we would like people to learn about the site, its connection to the Sand Creek Massacre, and our collaboration with the tribes, as well as seeking input about the plan to understand community support or opposition. So the questionnaire is being structured in a way that starts with information about the site, providing some background about its history, the connection to the Sand Creek Massacre, and the significant agricultural and ecological values. The next part of the questionnaire explains our partnership and collaboration with tribal representatives. And then that's followed by questions about different concept plan elements, the overall plan, and then some specific reasons for support or opposition to better understand why people might support or oppose the plan recommendations. We're also including standard demographic questions to see who we are reaching and also who we might not be reaching with the questionnaire. When the questionnaire closes, we will review the input and analyze the comments. The input we receive will then determine the next steps and the time needed to develop the final plan. So depending on what we hear, we may want to consider modifications to the plan, and we would work together with tribal representatives and collaborate on any significant revisions. It's anticipated that staff will return to the board this summer with a summary of community feedback and an outline of next steps. Final concept plan would be presented for board consideration at a later date. So I know we covered a lot of information. So I wanted to pause briefly, maybe let's do a time check. Maybe like 5 to 10 minutes to see if there's any clarifying questions before we then open it up for a conversation with tribal representatives.
Thank you, Casey and Katie. We appreciate that. Do any board members have any clarifying questions or thoughts? I have one. Can you speak, Katie, more specifically to the collaboration to date with the tribal representatives as far as the background to prepare the concept plan? What's been the role of the tribal reps in that process?
Yeah, as we've gone through the site planning process, we started out by sharing information about the site, discussing the different site values, and just kind of talking about different potential opportunities. And in that early kickoff meeting, one thing that we heard was it'd like to see some different alternatives to then be able to react to. So we put together several different kind of packages of different types of improvements or ways that we could approach the site. And we talked through those and kind of pulled different elements from different plans and, what felt right, what didn't. And then took that feedback and then went through and created a concept plan based on that feedback. We came together again with site visits and went back and looked at that concept plan that we developed and to see if if it reflected what we had heard and heard that things were on track. We made a few minor changes and that's kind of where we got to where we are today.
Great. Thank you. No further questions?
We could tee up the next section.
Okay, what's the next, this is just questions specifically about the plan. not
About the presentation, and now we've got some questions for the tribal members as well.
Great.
Yeah, so now that we've presented the work of the team, I'd like to invite our tribal representatives to share their thoughts about working together and reflections about the project theme, heal the land, heal the people. So with that, I guess I'd like to see if anybody would like to start the conversation or share their thoughts with the board.
To go ahead and open up with some thoughts there. I'm glad that we're meeting tonight with the open space. It's an honor for us to get into this collaborating and understanding, sharing our information. What we've been doing with the committee here, the staff, it's very helpful. And the tribes come in with a great knowledge of culture, sensitivities to these lands here. Through time, we were on these properties where we had different types of names. We lived on these lands, utilized them in the way just to survive, as native people. So every aspect of that has meaning to us. The water, plants, animals, everything in there that we can help out with our staff here. Give them that understanding to learn, not only for tribal people back home or here, but the general public here in Colorado, the surrounding areas. It's long overdue that we come out and get to really be able to give our sense of true history through oral history, stories. And studying our histories through historians that helps us to bring us to this point where we can again reach out and make this a better understanding for not only the tribes but for the state of Colorado and the people here. So I'm glad to be here tonight, share all that information with you. I was a former tribal leader and I learned quite a bit about the government to government process. And we as tribal nations or sovereign nations, we have that right as tribal nations to work any capacity with any type of government entity and utilize and respect each other's sovereign understandings. So, that's what I'm looking at on the governmental side of it. Educational wise, we need to develop curriculum, fourth grade on up, and really tell a story. You don't see that understanding in books today or even classes. Wyoming, Colorado, they really don't know who we are, And we had an opportunity to unite and do a good, proper educational understanding with what we're doing here on this project. So, that's got a lot of meaning to us. And our government, has a nation to nation, we have the sovereign authority to develop any type of understandings for betterment from the future for our children, our people. And I'm glad that I have all that understanding and talking to Fred here and sisters and our guests here, we were embedded with really good traditional knowledge as we were growing up. And that's what helped us to be where we're at today. And we're able to transpose any kind of understandings which we can help in all those areas. We travel quite a bit. I'm the director of travel preservation, where we go to each state where we had ancestral backgrounds and through the process of what you call 106 federal law. And let's just give our stories in detail of what might be there that we don't want to be disturbed. And they give us that opportunity to let the companies know if they're gonna have a business. We can able to help the business out, and at the same time, you know, we protect ourselves as tribal people and our ancestors that were here at one time. So with that, you know, I just wanna say again, Kahu, thank you in our language, and let our other representatives give their peace of mind.
Thank you.
There was no nation on this land that owned it. We all shared it together. It took care of us and we took care of it. We weren't, still aren't greedy people. We make do, and when we needed something, this land provided it for us. You know, and it carried us every day for thousands of years. And today it still takes care of us. And you know, we're of this earth, our people. Our story hasn't really been told. We keep our story close to ourselves for our grandchildren and great grandchildren. You know, we want our people to continue way down the line. And today, you know, we're out here. We collaborated with this organization here, and it was good collaboration, you know. But the history that's told today isn't the true history. We had a discussion earlier. I said that's Hollywood's version of history. Our history hasn't been told yet. So we keep that close to us. You know, we haven't told our story yet. There's bits and pieces out there that we've told, but today it's not out there. We have creation stories from when this earth was first came about, when life first happened on it. So we still have those stories with us today. We pass them on generation to generation. You know, this is going to take healing on both sides. All the nations that are involved in this, the native nations and the non-native nations, they all have to heal. It can't just be one-sided. Everybody has to work together to get to that point. And we need to come together and educate everybody that comes to this location, so they'll have a clear understanding of what we're talking about. It's not anything to do with money or anything like that. It's to do with life. And that's the way we were brought up. Our life ways, that's what taught us. And we were taught from when we hit the ground, this way of life. And you know, we're not gonna let it stop here. Got folks that are coming behind us. So with that, I want to say thank you for allowing us to come and talk to you. It's always an honor to represent our people. Thank you.
It's our honor as well. What I would like to ask is, all land has stories. Do you think this plan, as it's developing, will tell the stories it needs to tell?
If you put somebody out there or placards or something along the walkway and describe different things, I think it would help. It wouldn't have to be elaborate or anything like that, just simple messages. So it wouldn't confuse anybody, Simple, plain old English. Put it out there. It can be told, this location, especially from what happened from those soldiers that were there, that were trained all the way down to, what was their story? What was the soldier story? Because you guys heard our story. What was the soldier story? Both sides have to be told. Can't be one side. The other side has to say something. Because the Indians didn't kill themselves. There were soldiers there. What's their story? That has to come together to start healing. And this is the place that it started in healing can start here in here.
Oh, Fred, sorry.
This collaborative planning, when it first kicked off, was kind of ragged, I think, because they had a story. They had an idea of what to do, they brought this land to us. And they had to put up with aggressive behavior. They had to put up with despair. They had to put up with all these stories, these things that came from us, and they listened to us with open minds, so that we could begin to. I think the first thing is our feelings for this place were expressed to them, and they had to understand where it was coming from when they talked about this place and the things that was on it. Those were all thrown at them, so they had to listen to that from us. And then as we began to plan it out, then we began to understand, and I think it began to heal us already by talking about it and by being able to make this land something that's that, like he said, is going to tell the whole story. Because Ben just brought in a line of story that was not heard of before. And so this is the stories that are coming together. So this planning it started out not too good, and then it kept getting better to what it is today. So, gotta applaud them for standing their grounds while we, threw stuff at them and everything like this. But it worked. And I think that the title is proper, to heal. And that's what it is. So thank you. We should appreciate them putting up with us, hearing our story, hearing our feelings, really, is what it was. And so we thank them for that.
Thank you.
I have one more thing to say. Our knowledge doesn't make any sense without spirituality. That's the bottom line. You gotta have a connection with our spirituality. That's the way we were brought up. That's the way we live today. It's not us. We just work here. No matter what we do, what we were taught. It's not ours. It's somebody else. So it can be given to somebody else. And we need that. Everybody needs that. Especially at a place like this. You know, it was, like brother said, you know, it was a hard pill to swallow when we first came here. Because of the actions that followed those soldiers after they got trained there. Sand Creek wasn't the only place they hit. You know, they left a trail. And a lot of people didn't know that. Buffalo Springs. You know, they hit a little camp down there. So it's been hard and it's been good. It helped us, like brother said, you know, we're able to accept it. Not wholeheartedly, but we'll accept it. We still got work to do.
So there's some things that you want us to be mindful of or keep our attention on as we kind of continue working with you on the planning process?
As the plan progresses, I guess, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We'd like to make this a success story for this area. For the poor farm, Boulder County, whoever wants to get on this train, you know, we want them to be successful. We don't look for glory. This is part of us. It's going to be a part of us, whether it floats or don't float. How to handle it.
Brady, do you want to?
Yeah. I had a question for all of you. Chester, we had a chance to talk a little bit over dinner about healing. And I think there's a lot of people in the Boulder community who may not be very familiar with the concept of healing in this context. And I wonder if you could speak a little bit more to what the people side of the healing means for you and what it would, and maybe in a way that people who haven't thought about it in this context, what does intergenerational healing mean?
Well, we've been carrying this around, these stories that were told to us when we were little. You know, this wasn't the only place that atrocities happened. We had Sand Creek, and then back almost 4 years to the day was Washington. And we were on our own reservation. We were attacked in the wee hours of the morning. And it was hard to trust the government. It's still that way, you know. We can't. It's always, well, they're going to help us do this, and then the plan changes, you know. And you can't really move forward until you get the right combination in there. The government's going to help us, and they help us, and we help the government back. you know. Or it's like that in anything, you know. But what we do, we pray about it. A lot of prayers. Make offerings to that our folks will have an understanding for this healing process. And when we go to Washita, we go to Washita on the 27th of November. And we come to Sand Creek on the 29th. So we go to Washita, all the folks come to Washita. We have some teepees up. We use our medicine on our people. They come over. We help them, and then we have our relatives that sit out there and sing for them, sing our military society songs and chief songs and memorial songs. And it seems to be helping. And we get stories there too. It's kind of, some of our folks are a little hesitant on telling stories, you know. We have a relative at home, her grandmother always slept with her moccasins on after Washita. She said, we don't know when them soldiers are going to come after us again. So it's really hard. I mean, it used to be really hard when the old folks were around. I mean, it wasn't a good thing when they were around. It was for us. They were heavy duty protectors. And then boarding schools came along, different things like that. But we're learning how to heal. We're still trying, but we're making a difference. We're moving forward. Some of our own people don't even understand what happened. And some of them could care less. They became too colonized. You know, it's hard to walk in two worlds in the present day government and our way of life and try to balance both of those. It's a tough way of life for us. When we do something on our way of life, it's always, you know, we'll trade for something or help you out or do something, you know. But in today's world, you have to pay for it. Those dead presidents, you know, you have to trade them. So, you know, that's a real hard way of life for us. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just, that's what we have to do. That happens to us every day. And, you know, we're never going to be millionaires or rich, money wise, culturally. We earn the mind.
Comment now. Yeah. Thinking of what Chester said, about our people, all natives, went through all these atrocities. We're superhuman to live through all that. We didn't have the luxuries. Just an example of Sand Creek, It's cold, the kids had to run for their lives. Ladies. So it was really hard, but we're still proud people. We share, we can do what we can, take care of ourselves. Even though they caused a lot of historical trauma. Even today, the trauma still hurts our people. I was real fortunate there. My father, his grandfather was in the same creek. He was a survivor. And then on my mother's side, her grandfather was Chief Bigfoot. We didn't. So my background comes from two massacres. And like I said, we are surviving. We're survivors. And we're meant to be on this land. You couldn't exterminate us. It wasn't until 1924 when we became citizens, even though our Native men were going to the service to defend our country. And my father fought World War II. And when the war was over, they welcomed them home. And they stopped at every town coming from Denver all the way home to the train. Every town they celebrated all the soldiers, didn't matter what color they were. So when they got home to our hometown, they were ready to celebrate. They were gonna go eat in a restaurant. Big sign on the door. No Indians or dogs allowed. In the 40s. Yeah. Navajo, Code Talkers, our other tribes. If it wasn't for them, we'd probably be under Nazi or Japanese rule, because they're the ones that saved them. And that's how strong we are as Native people. Just an example. So we're meant to be here to help out, like the gentleman said, we're not looking to carve ourselves in stone. It's for the betterment of our people, our future. Best understandings for all of them. Thank you.
Michelle?
Yeah, I was wondering that if there were any traditional or ceremonial practices that you believe should be honored or integrated into the site and design and programming this site. That haven't already been incorporated, are there other things that you have ideas that could be integrated? I know you mentioned like having educational programs starting at, 3rd grade. And I know we're talking about like interpretive science. Is there anything else that we can do to honor the history and your history on the site?
I think these, the use of symbols, within our tribes, stand for parts of our makeup or our worship, way to worship. There are symbols that we can use that stand for either, the grandfathers or our father, we could put those out there, the place where they come to contemplate and the people coming in will recognize them for what they are. And so the use of those would be very good.
I just appreciate what you were saying about, how some of these things happened in the recent past. My wife worked for the Washoe Tribe of California and Nevada, and we lived out there. And we were at a 2012 presidential campaign fundraiser at a fantastic house in Incline Village. $1 million house, and all these rich people. And Brian Wallace, who was the chairman of the Washoe Tribe, came up to me and he says, "I'm going to tell you something." He says, "We always lived in the Carson Valley, and then when it got too hot, we'd go up over to Lake Tahoe and spend our summer there." And we just camped out, did our thing. And it was 1965 and I was 10 years old. And I can remember a man with a shotgun coming to our camp one morning and saying, "Not your land, get off." And it was an incredible experience for me to hear that from a person who had been there. And it meant a lot to me. And, you know, I've never forgotten that. And to think, you know, this isn't the army. This is just a real estate developer's lackey who went out there to say, "Get off, I'm about to build a house here." And I'm just, you know, I'm really all about telling the story, you know, like what you're saying. And the generosity that you all are showing to talk about, you know, telling both sides, you know, wanting to hear from the perspective of the soldier. Like, I never thought about the perspective of the developer's lackey with the shotgun. It never occurred to me to think about his side of the story. And the fact that you know, want to hear that side too. I mean, that's just generosity beyond generosity. So as much as we could offer, you know, if you know, if there's a place for ceremony that you're lacking and ought to be on the site or something like that, I hope you ask for it.
I just want to say that some of us are now elders. And I think, you know, it's our duty to make sure that our children and grandchildren not only know, but understand kind of their history and these stories that are associated with that. And so all of us want to encourage you to make sure our efforts reflect as well as they can, or as well as you would like them to, you know, that cultural memory. And again, we appreciate not only your being here, but your involvement in this effort, and hopefully in the next year or so we can see it out on the ground starting to happen. So thank you very much. I have one question for you. So Fort Garland, have we found out any more specifically, you know, locational stuff or anything that can have a focus? And I'm thinking about visitors who will look out there, and if they don't see anything, they're gonna kind of wonder, well, you know, what exactly was going on here? So are we still actively excavating or trying to find out whatever we can on Fort Garland?
For Chambers?
Sorry, I'm thinking, yeah, sorry, for Chambers, right?
Yeah, right now, there's no active archaeological investigation going on. They've done a couple of different magnetometry investigations that were inconclusive, and you know, Christian Driver, our archaeologist, continues to, you know, there's new information that comes up. We continue to kind of track down leads as we see stuff, but there's, you know, everything is showing that after the Santa Creek massacre, that the fort was allowed to disintegrate, and it didn't last very long.
Perhaps it's best one not know. Perhaps it's best one not know exactly. Just knowing that this area. Just to let it
Be what it is.
because I wouldn't want to walk on. On purpose.
Okay. So any further questions or comments?
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, so that we can help make sure the site, is dedicated to, justice and truth telling about the events of the past?
Keep an eye on these guys.
It's our job to tell them, right? So the stewards of the land, anything else, parting thoughts you want to leave us with?
No, it's a huge pleasure for us to be a part of this. We'll make sure it's right.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
So, Dan, is there anything?
Yeah, no, I think that, kind of wrap that up. Thank you very much for your travels out here. And, what we're gonna do, Dave, is we're gonna just take 5 minutes,
Okay.
Recess, so our guests could, it's a small room, leave and bring another crew in. So, we'll reconvene the meeting in about 5 minutes.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good seeing you. And we appreciate it.
This wasn't a fun.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
We are good to go.
Thank you. We are back in session. And we are moving on the agenda to approval of the last meeting's minutes. So I will go over the pages, and if anyone has any edits or comments or suggestions, please say so. So are there any corrections or changes to page 1 of the February 14th, 2024 meeting minutes? Hearing and seeing none, what about page 2? Hearing and seeing none, is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
And do I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Michelle moved, Brady seconded the approval of the minutes for the meeting of February 14th, 2024. I'll do a roll call. Carmen?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
John?
I was not there, so I
That's
won't
correct.
see.
Thank you for abstaining. And Brady?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So it passes 4-0 with John abstaining. Okay. Our next item on the agenda is open public comment. And Sam, would you walk us through the city's protocols for public comment, please?
Yes, just gonna get the slide shared. Right. So the city has engaged with community members to co-create a vision for productive, meaningful, and inclusive civic conversations. This vision supports physical and emotional safety for community members, staff, and board commission members, as well as democracy for people of all ages, identities, lived experiences, and political perspectives. Sorry about that. For more information about this vision and the community engagement processes, please visit this website. The following are examples of rules of decorum found in the Boulder Revised Code and other guidelines that support this vision. These will be upheld during this meeting. All remarks and testimony shall be limited to matters related to city business. No participant shall make threats or use other forms of intimidation against any person. Obscenity, racial epithets, and other speech and behavior that disrupts or otherwise impedes the ability to conduct the meeting are prohibited. Participants are required to sign up to speak using the name they are commonly known by, and individuals must display their full name before being allowed to speak online. Currently, only audio testimony is permitted online. If you would like to speak this evening and you haven't signed up in advance, you can raise your hand in Zoom. To do that, you'll either see the raise hand function on the bottom of your screen, or you can click on the participants box Then you'll see the three dots on the bottom right, and you can click raise hand from there. And I don't see anyone joining by phone, but I'll go over those instructions as we get closer.
Great, thank you very much for that. And before we start the open public comment, I just want to remind our viewers and participants of two things. One is that the open public comment is for items that are not on the agenda, calling for a public hearing. So the one item on the agenda calling for a public, well, there are two items on the agenda calling for a public hearing, but the one item that will support public testimony is the request for recommendation from council on the proposed annexation of approximately 4.9 acres of land located at 5600 Table Mesa Drive, currently managed as open space within Area 3 and designated as open space acquired under the Boulder Valley Comp Plan, which is basically the land that's being requested by the city utilities department for the flood mitigation, construction of the flood mitigation project. The other item that is listed for public comment, I want to reemphasize that the public comment on that item, which is the request for the open space lands to be transferred to the city utilities department for the construction of the flood mitigation project. The public testimony for that item was held on February 22nd, 2024, in a joint meeting with the city council. And that public participation for that item was closed at the February 22nd meeting. So the board's role this evening will be to further consider and discuss the request from the utilities department for a transfer of 2.2 acres of open space mountain parks land for construction of the flood mitigation project dam, and 1.9 acres for temporary construction area associated with the project that the Open Space and Mountain Parks Department will continue to own and manage both pre and post construction of the flood mitigation project. So, Janet, I don't know if you want to jump in and just reemphasize the city's protocols on the extended meetings for public participation. That would probably be helpful.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Janet Michaels with the City Attorney's Office, and sitting with me is Teresa Taylor Tate, the City Attorney. You've stated correctly that the procedural aspect, that there was a meeting that was commenced on February 22nd. Open Space Board of Trustees closed the public comment, as did City Council. So the only public comment, well, there will not be additional public comment, but today will be the opportunity for the board to ask questions and to deliberate and to take official action on the request.
Thank you. So the board tonight will receive public comment on any topic that is of interest to the public associated with the Open Space and Mountain Parks program that is not related to the request for disposal or transfer of open space lands to the city utilities department for the flood mitigation project. So having said all that, Sam, how do we look?
Yes, so we do have one member of the public signed up to speak in advance, Lynn Siegel, who I'm not seeing signed on right now, so we'll come back if they do join. If you would like to speak for open comment, this is the time to raise your hand. And I see one hand from Harold Hallstein. So you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Good evening, Open Space Board of Trustees members. Thank you for this opportunity to comment quickly. I'm interested tonight more largely in OSBT's role within the home rule city of Boulder, Colorado. I did send an email in preparation for this evening discussing a couple items that I thought are just important for the record related to that, in my opinion, sacred responsibility. During my period of time as an OSBT member, I worked with Michelle Estrella directly with the highest level OSMP staff, including John Potter. And as a matter of fact, also members of the city attorney's office, Janet Michaels in particular, joined Michelle and I with John Potter and Bethany Collins to create a document about the disposal process in Colorado, in the city of Boulder, as well as the disposition of licenses on open space land. I included it by attachment, and I just wanted to be clear that that document not only suggests that OSBT members consider conditions when doing disposals, but actually works to enumerate all of the situations in which it might be appropriate to protect the economic and environmental interests of OSMP. So I hope people have a time to review that. We put an incredible amount of work across nearly a year and a quarter, I think, to get that document finished and approved by the board. And then secondarily, I also heard from a number of people that there was some discussion that perhaps the board had been advised that it is not appropriate for conditions to be put in disposal motions. This is a really important topic for the future of Boulder's open space system. And I provided evidence that not only has it happened in the past, it has been numerous, specific, and highlighted the specific minutes of the meetings where that occurred. So hopefully that will put to rest any discussion that conditions are not an appropriate thing to put into motions related to disposal. And that any change the board might consider from the city's attorney's office, you should really consider the legal advice that you will take, because if the trustees allow your authority under this home rule city charter to be usurped, it has vast implications for our open space, our most sacred lands, everything that people who move to Boulder love, and your responsibility under your oath to protect it. So I encourage you tonight to think strongly about what you're doing to not just protect the land, but to protect the board, and make sure that you're retaining the authorities and powers that you can to help this system remain excellent. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Hal. Appreciate your comments. Sam, do we have others?
We don't have any other hands, just one more call to raise your hand if you would like to speak during this portion. Okay, and not seeing any other hands and not seeing the one person that we had signed up to speak in advance.
So with that, we will close the public comment period, and thank you for all of that. We'll move to matters from the board. So the first item for matters from the board are any questions from the trustees on the written memo that was in our packet, which is the Shanahan Tall Oakgrass Project update. And also any comments or thoughts on the public comment that we received. So does anyone have any comments?
I do, Dave.
Oh, good.
On the written memo, actually, it was a really great memo. I actually really enjoyed reading it, and I love data and stuff like that. Are there any negative impacts of having the cattle graze on the grasslands? The memo talked a lot about like the positive aspects, which were very obvious, but is there any negative impacts from the?
Did Chris Warner join? He is on, yes. And he should be, oh, there he is.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, great. Yeah, I mean, we noted a few things, especially just sort of the interactions with the public. You know, we've had issues with cattle and people and trails and dogs and all those things. So that's definitely a place where we've focused both education and staff time, and just having staff sort of available to answer questions and work through things. Longer term, I think, you know, we've really focused on sort of moving the cattle around, making sure they're not impacting areas. we've worked with our wildlife staff on water sources. That's definitely been a potential impact that we've tried to mitigate, making sure areas aren't, really hammered as far as the cattle using those water sources and making sure they're moving across the landscape. So it's really been a matter of just kind of staying on top of it, keeping close tabs on, when and where and how long the cattle are out there, and really, keeping a good eye on the resource impacts that are happening and related to the cattle being out there.
Awesome, thank you. Overall, that seemed like a really cool and positive project, so enjoyed the demo.
Other comments or questions? Chris, I'm going to ask this one, so I'm going to ask it. So the effects of fire on tall oak grass, do we have any information on that? And are we trying to learn anything as far as fire effects on tall oak grass?
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely a unique opportunity where we've had grazing and we've got tall grass and now we've got a fire to monitor. I think some of the immediate results that we've seen from the fire has been a direct impact on, the occurrence of tall grass. It does seem to be sort of springing back in those areas that aren't being grazed but were burned. So the long-term impact is probably not sustained just from a fire standpoint, but it might be an opportunity to kind of continue to graze and apply burning if we have the opportunities to use prescribed fire in some of those areas. So it seems to be sort of a short lasting effect so far. At least that's what the monitoring has showed us over the past 2 years or so that we've had the burn to monitor.
Okay, but we could anticipate a periodic prescribed burn. Is that, do you think, a possibility?
I think it's something that we would want to shoot for possibly, but Dave, you know better than anybody the complexity of burning and all the challenges that go along with it. So in this case where we had a wildfire that corresponded, is definitely a positive impact, which we see, a lot of positive impacts from prescribed fire or wildfires. So I wouldn't say it's definitely on our radar to burn it again, but we have burns planned in that Shanahan Ridge area that we would love to implement in the future.
You'll be happy to know that I have great confidence in both your experience and sophistication performing prescribed burns. So I remain hopeful that we can determine in the future whether there are impacts from at least the periodic prescribed burning. Armin?
So just to follow up on Dave's question, Chris, it seemed from the staff report that you got more efficacy in reducing the oak grass from grazing than from fire. Is that correct? All things being equal, you're actually getting a better deal if the cows are eating the grass?
Yeah, it seems to be a kind of more of a lasting impact. We've got a much longer window of grazing to compare. So if, theoretically, if we were able to burn every couple of years, it may keep those numbers down as well. But it's probably more realistic that we can implement the grazing on a more regular basis versus the burning.
Okay. Thank you.
And Chris, impacts on native grasses in the grazed areas, what are we finding from that?
It's actually, it's kind of interesting because we're not seeing a decrease in natives, but we're also not seeing an increase. The natives are there and they're kind of suppressed and not expressing themselves, but as the grazing comes through and impacts the tall oak grass, the natives can really flush and are able to express themselves a little bit better. So it's kind of a directly negative impact on the tall oak grass while maintaining the native condition.
So rather than saying express themselves would be more accurate to say that they compete at a higher effective rate.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair way to put it.
Great. Thank you. Anyway, thanks for the memo. We are still, the board is still keeping track of how that's going. And we're always interested in whatever specific management activities are occurring adjacent to neighborhoods. And so we're definitely keeping an eye on that. So thanks again.
Yeah, definitely.
So now I think what we will do is go to the draft memo to council, who requested 3 or 4 suggestions to them on the open space board of trustees priorities for 2024. And Brady and Harmon effectively produced the draft with contributions from board members. And Brady, why don't you jump in and walk us quickly through kind of where things are at?
Yeah. Let me just first note that the council asked for 2 to 3 items and we gave a little more than the other. We did keep it to 1 thing. We accomplished, it could have been a lot worse. And so Harmon and I worked on this together. This was taken from feedback or input submitted to Dan that was then redistributed to us. And also photos I took of all the little stickies we put up on the wall last fall when we were doing our quarterly priorities. And so they came out into 4 bigger categories. And so I'll just briefly, for everyone's benefit, talk about them. I won't read the whole thing verbatim, and then we'll be open to any input or changes or hearing about things we may have missed. Category 1 is the OSMP plans and planning processes. Staff did a great presentation about this in the packet for our October retreat. There was a lot of information there, and it was good to kind of go back over that. And with over 20 active plans, I think we all agreed in the retreat that it's at the very least a challenge to keep them all updated, and for the general public, and even for someone like myself, it's really hard to figure out where I should look for what. And so I think there's an opportunity for us to make a plan. Yeah, so I think that's a worthy one. Dave, ever the champion for fire and natural land management, continued to champion it in his suggestions. And I think hopefully we did a good job of capturing your desires there, Dave. And then there was a kind of a catch-all of recreation management and infrastructure. And so the categories there are reducing our trail maintenance backlog, addressing the issue of climbing and access trails, some of which are social trails and not designated. There's concern about CU South displacement. And if as that resource becomes unavailable, where will everyone go? Parking and equity, and making sure that we are following through our commitment for bike parking and trailheads. Paragliding access, the paragliders have expressed interest in looking at new launch sites, and I think this is an interesting little microcosm of the challenges of planning and how do we do real-time active planning within the context of 20-year, let's admit it, laborious planning processes. And then e-bikes. I'm new here, so I'm really eager to talk about e-bikes. I guess you all got your fill. But no, we want to briefly in the fourth quarter take a look at what did we learn in this test period, or I should say initial period of having e-bikes on the open space. What did we learn? What did the data say? And then finally, and this is again something we addressed at the retreat, budgeting and annual planning. And that we're refining the budget process, and want to acknowledge that a lot of progress has already been made in making sure that our budget dovetails with the master planning processes and our overall priorities. So this is certainly not to insinuate that things are broken. However, we believe that there's an opportunity for OSBT to have more visibility and opportunities to provide feedback in a time that allows for us to have some meaningful contributions to the budget and for those to be reflected in the budget that ultimately gets submitted to council. So those are the broad categories, and would love to hear any thoughts, questions, or edits from the board.
Thank you, Brady. Harmon, do you have anything to add?
No, I just helped Brady with this and took in feedback from all you all on the board, and I thought Brady did a really good job summarizing it.
Great.
So I'll leave it at that and just make it clear that when Brady said he's new here, he means new to OSBT. And he's not even new to that.
Yeah, you can quit saying that after.
Really? Wow. Okay. When it comes to e-bikes, I think I am.
It's too new to know the e-bike stuff anymore.
So are there any further questions or suggestions, comments? And if not, I will entertain a motion to adopt and ask staff to convey to city council.
I don't have any suggestions for changes. I just want to thank you two for the best birthday present ever and taking on this subcommittee the last month. I appreciate that. Like, oh, it's a subcommittee. I don't want to say about it. So thanks for doing that. I know, Brady, you were traveling for a big chunk of that time and still got this done. So thanks to you two for doing this and for getting input from the other trustees and incorporating them in a very clear way. So, and then I just want to amplify a little bit on that point down below about parking, there we go, parking and equity. And that was one that I contributed to and really would like to see OSMP prioritize installing and modernizing the bike parking at trailheads. That's something that we've been hearing in the community. And I know that's just something that we need to budget for as well and get that on our list of priorities. I know there are people in the community who care a lot about that and for sure on this board and on city council. So to the extent that we can weave that into number 4, the budgeting and annual planning, be amazing. Thank you.
So Michelle, in your comments in meeting, was a motion going to be weaved in?
Oh, yes, and I'd like to. And so we
Woven,
need to-
actually, woven. into
And so we need to vote on this, right, Ben?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so I would like to make a motion supporting that staff send this to city council on our behalf.
Is there a second?
Is that right? I don't know.
I'll second it.
Great, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. It passes unanimously 5-0. And thanks to both of you. We appreciate the work that you did, and I appreciate the contributions from the board members themselves, and I think it pretty much captures some of the important issues that I expect the board and council will be hearing and dealing with in the next year. So thanks to everyone.
And Dave, you deserve some thanks too. And we'll really miss you. You've been such a great chair. And with Brady out of the country and me juggling a demanding period at my work and family obligations and all that, you know, there was that call from you, hey, how you doing with the priorities? And we were so on top of everything, and I always appreciate hearing from you. So you will be so missed.
Well, thank you, but believe it or not, there was no money slipped under the table for that. But I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
I just see that as part of the job. So, great. So Dan, do we want a few minutes or should we keep going?
We probably don't need to get off. We could probably just call the other staff in, but just I just want to make sure, Leah, will you be sending that to council by Friday's deadline?
Yes.
Thank you. One last email that you file for me.
It's on the record later.
And I just want to also alert the other trustees that at this time, it's usually been the chance for us to thank Dave and his 5 years of service and his year of service as a chair. However, we have collectively decided that we're going to do that honoring in April. So it's still going to happen and Dave's going to be our guest. And he'll coming back in April under matters from the board for us a chance to recognize his service. So just wanted, it didn't disappear. It just got moved to April.
Very nice. Thank you. I'll enjoy that thoroughly being a guest. All right, so the next item on the agenda is the continuation of the February 22nd, 2024 public hearing to consider a request from the City of Boulder's Utilities Department to use and manage an approximately 2.2 acre portion of the Van Vliet open space property, construct, access, operate, and maintain elements of the South Boulder Creek flood mitigation project pursuant to the disposal procedures of Article 12, Section 177 of the City of Boulder Charter and related matters of the February 22nd, 2024 joint meeting between the Open Space Board of Trustees and the City Council. And before we commence on that, I just want to remind the board that at the joint meeting on February 22nd, there was a presentation and recommendation from the Open Space and Mountain Park staff and the utility staff. And there were opportunities for the board and council members to ask clarifying questions of staff. And then the opportunity for public testimony, which both the City Council and the Open Space Board heard to its culmination and closed then the public testimony portion of the request. Now, this is a little unusual in the sense that it's not so routine that usually there are two meetings that require dealing with a topic of this nature. But given the extent and breadth of the topic, it was thought that rather than try and do all of the process in one meeting, that it made more sense both for the members of the council and the board, as well as the public, to divide it into two meetings. And the reason for the public comment closing is that both the board and the council were very desirous of hearing the same comments to inform their deliberations subsequently, which would then result in actions taken by both eight entities. So that's why we're here tonight as the second part of that whole process. And so during this continuation of the public hearing, the trustees, as they always do in these matters, will consider and deliberate on the staff recommendation on this matter. And no additional public testimony will be taken. After the Open Space Board takes action tonight, the Open Space Board will provide its recommendations to the City Council, who is scheduled to consider and deliberate on the Open Space Board's recommendation at Council's March 21st meeting, which is a week from tomorrow. So next week, Thursday. As part of our deliberative and discussion process, I thought it might be helpful and useful if board members want to just provide any reflections or thoughts they have on where they are kind of before we get into the specific discussion. I thought that might be a nice way for all of us board members to understand kind of the context for our next discussion process. So if that sounds like something that the board would like to do, I will certainly open the question to board members. If you'd like to just briefly discuss any things that you would like to talk about, which will set the stage then for our subsequent conversation, that would be great. So don't all volunteer once. John, could
I think city attorney has
okay.
her hand up.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm not certain, but is it possible that one of the trustees was not in attendance at the public hearing that occurred?
Yeah, I'm gonna attest to. That is
Yes,
correct.
That's exactly what I'm
I will
looking
do that
for.
during my little chat. Yeah.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks for reminding me. That's important. So Brady, in your little chat, would you like to?
Should I start my little chat?
Yeah.
Well, I was not able to attend virtually or in person. However, I did watch the entirety of the hearing on YouTube. And I didn't realize I'd be served ads during that time, but other than that, I saw the whole thing and I did read the memo. So, and I appreciate the opportunity to have done that. And so, yeah, I just have a few thoughts. The flood was in 2013. And the South Boulder Creek flood plan was approved in 2015. And I remember when I was 41, cruising around looking at the devastation, and here I am 51. And this wall is not in danger of being built in the immediate future here. So it's taken a long time for this process. And I fundamentally think that 2.2 acres of admittedly critical habitat in exchange for 119 acres of restoration with the water rights included to actually do a great job with that, and the ability to build a flood wall, which, while not perfect, will certainly very likely have an incredibly meaningful impact on any number of people downstream from it in the future that will happen, and we don't know. So yeah, I'm eager for this project to move forward. I appreciate the resolution that this body issued and approved in June of 2021. And not having been there, but having read it and reading the staff memos, I think the staff did a great job in addressing those concerns, and those have all been addressed to my personal satisfaction. I think this is clearly consistent with our charter purposes. I think this is clearly in the interest of the public. This disposal action before the board and the staff recommendation. I did hear a lot of concerns during the hearing. I heard some anger. And I understand those concerns, and I've heard them, and I understand that we're never going to agree completely on this issue. And that being said, I really do think it's time for us to move forward. We've spent many hours and many meetings. Dave, again, you've been counting, I think, how many meetings you've been in. And I think it's important for us to note that there is a financial cost associated with this, that our time is valuable. And look at everybody sitting in this room. And I think there's a huge opportunity cost as well. I'm more concerned about the things we're not talking about when we spend so many hours talking about this. And that's not to diminish its importance, but just to say that there is a lot of things facing our community, facing our open space lands. And there absolutely is an opportunity cost when we spend so much time on an issue like this. Yeah, so I'm concerned that personally, as a trustee, I'm concerned about doing anything to further delay this process, or anything that may inadvertently add complications or complexity to the staff downstream, if you will, from this. I am not concerned about the professionalism or the intentions of the city staff or city departments, including utilities. I think we've got exceptionally professional staff, and while I don't know the intricacies of IDMOUs, I'm not overly concerned that the staff will fail to capture both the word and the spirit of our intent in issuing such MOUs. I think the only concern that we may not be able to address entirely tonight is that I'm concerned that the site will remain closed to the public during the mitigation project construction, making sure that the permitting conditions are met and that there's a management plan put together. And I think with the potential loss of a recreational asset like this, I would love for us to give the public the most assurances we can that we're going to open this site up as quickly as we can, and think about ways that they can meet the recreational and health needs in other ways, and that we can put a milestones and a timeline for ourselves and hold ourselves accountable to that, to move this forward in a way that will best benefit our community. So that's maybe a little more than you bargained for, but those are some thoughts.
I don't know, Brady, you don't look a day over 50.
Thank you very much. Did you want to ask a question on the 60-day period regarding disposal? The question is when that starts, or how is that?
At this point, no, I don't have that question, but I will maybe at a later time. Okay, is this the time to do that, you think?
Well, I might do it if you don't.
Okay, well, I defer to the chair in that case.
Okay, great. Who else? John?
I'm happy to go next. I've always been a better writer than a public speaker, so I've written my thoughts and I'm gonna read them. The proposal before us represents a significant milestone in this project that cannot be understated. One that has been over a decade in the making, a testament to the dedication and perseverance of all involved, many of them sitting around the room tonight. At the heart of this proposal lies a dual commitment to safeguard the lives and homes of thousands of our community members from the threat of deadly flooding, and to enhance our open space portfolio for the benefit of present and future generations. The urgency of this matter cannot be overstated, especially in light of the harrowing events of the 2013 flooding, which vividly underscored the vulnerability of our West Valley and the imperative need for proactive measures. While the responsibility of this board is not public safety, there's plenty of precedent in disposing of open space land for public safety purposes, and public safety is one of the key responsibilities of the government. This proposal is a win-win for the community, supporting both public safety and the open space program. In exchange for the 2.2 acre strip along US Highway 36, we are gaining 119 acres of open space land and the accompanying water rights. This presents us with an unparalleled opportunity, an opportunity to rehabilitate and transform a former gravel pit into a thriving wetland ecosystem. This bold endeavor not only enhances our open space portfolio, but also secures a legacy of environmental stewardship for generations to come. I stand firmly behind the staff recommendation to move forward with this project. It is a well-balanced proposition that not only meets but exceeds mitigation requirements. It embodies the ethos of our open space program, balancing conservation with the pragmatic needs of our community. In closing, I urge my fellow trustees to join me in supporting this proposal, not only as stewards of our open space program, but as advocates for the health and safety of our community. Let us take this opportunity to affirm our commitment to both our natural environment and the well-being of our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Michelle? Armin?
I can go.
Go.
So I did not prepare remarks on paper, and I hope that I've thought deeply enough about this that I can express myself as well as you did. So I heard all the questions and comments by the public at the open hearing that we had on February 22nd. And some of the things that came out, I think, were really pivotal questions, and the answers that were received, I think, were satisfactory to me. So, for example, one of them was, why now with the disposal? Why not wait until all the permits have been secured? And later on in the presentation, Joe Tediucci addressed that, and I thought he addressed it effectively to my lights. And it just has to do with the order of operations of doing a project this complicated. And by taking care of the disposal at this point, it puts the order of operations correctly so that the project won't get held up for months and months, and in some cases up to 18 months by an uncertain process. And then, the fact that the language that's being proposed in the IDMOU provides for the reversal of that disposal if the project doesn't go forward should allay those fears that this disposal is premature. I think it's actually exactly slotted into the right time frame. I heard concerns about Ladies Tresses Orchids that are going to suffer probably a fatal fate because of the project. And the project, the dam has to be built, the spillway has to be built in their location. But in balancing the pros and cons of this project, I also heard that the environment that provided for that orchid habitat is really the man-made environment of the road acting as a dam, providing more runoff and nutrients than they would otherwise get naturally. And so I think that holding that on the one side and then holding a 119-acre riparian restoration project on the other side, I think it still meets open space purposes. Another thing I heard on was equity. And I asked Brandon the question about whether this project was viewed through an equity lens. And I got an answer that satisfied me in that question too. Around the fact that this project is not for any given segment of the population, for example, and also, as we all know, it will take the most dangerous flood risk that we have and provide protection in that area. It's number one on the list from a safety perspective and from an equity perspective. It's neutral at worst. And so I think overall, I was really satisfied by what I heard in the presentation on the 22nd, and I think this is a great culmination to a long, over 20-year process of trying to do something about this issue that's been plaguing Boulder with South Boulder Creek flooding. And then finally, I just think that this is an incredible opportunity from all that politics and annexation and the kind of procedural matters of disposal aside. This is an opportunity for the city, which has been doing amazing riparian restoration projects on open space, one of which we got to see on our field trip in October. But out, in the hinterlands, like way out in East County, where, down 3 different dirt roads that I'm not sure I could find my way back to at this point. And this is on display for everybody to see. And this is an opportunity for the citizens of Boulder to get to watch a living laboratory of riparian restoration and ecological, reclamation right in front of their eyes for the next 10 years. And I just think that's awesome. So it's great.
Great, thank you. You'll be happy to know that the person who is responsible for the rural restoration is going to be responsible for this restoration as well. If it's a 10-year project, that looks to be like his career timeline.
Crowning achievement.
So, Michelle, you have the next to last word if you would like.
I'm up. Okay, so I saw Brady and his little note card over here, so I thought I should start typing something.
You didn't want to ramble. You didn't want to ramble on like me. Brady, give me your cards, man.
Good job. Yeah, so I'm on my 3rd year as an OSBT member, and so I've had the opportunity to sit in on these meetings and learn a lot over the last 3 years. And one thing is that I continue to be impressed by passion of the city of Boulder's residents. Boulder's known for having a very healthy and fit population. And that is definitely true with community members who care about this issue. They've got a ton of stamina because they show up meeting after meeting, year after year, and weigh in on different aspects of this particular issue. And I'm just always impressed just how much people care and how much they show up. And again, how much stamina they have, because boy, I find it pretty exhausting. But I'm also really impressed by the competence and the expertise of the OSMP staff and the utility staff and just the experts and the engineers that have been working on this project for years. And they've just worked tirelessly. I asked Joe last time, on the 22nd, like, how many hours do you even just remotely think that, if you had to estimate that the staff has worked on different alternative designs.
to help solve the problems of flood in the city. And it's just not even possible to count those hours, those staff hours. So I'm just, very grateful that you've all stuck with us this long. And that you've come up with a design that minimizes the impact and to the endangered species and minimizes the footprint of the flood wall itself, because you all have worked so hard to get that footprint to the point where it is. And you're here at 60% design, even from the last time we saw it. And I know that's no small feat. And I just want to thank you for doing that. There is a significant number of citizens who, and quite vulnerable ones who are in need of flood mitigation and are waiting for this flood project to begin. And I take the decision as a trustee to dispose of open space very seriously, and I hope you all know that. And I too have heard all the concerns that different community members on both sides of the issue have expressed over the years. And we have a lot of respect for them. And we've come a long way. And tonight, I do look forward to casting a vote to move this project forward for the safety of our community.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate the comments, and they were thoughtful and focused, and thank you. I'm gonna take just a couple minutes and comment as well. But Jana, Teresa, I'm wondering that there is a question about the 60-day community review period as to when that starts. And the reason for the question is, if the board tonight votes to dispose, what is the status of the disposed land during that 60-day period and up until the project actually begins? So construction begins. So it's kind of a two-part question that I think would be helpful if you could respond to that before we get into the details of the motion.
Thank you, Chairman, for that question, Janet Michaels. With the City Attorney's Office, to answer the first question, the timing. According to the charter, the clock starts to run for the ability for the public to call this, to circulate a petition, to have it put to a vote of voters on the day that the City Council makes the decision. So that, assuming that it advances from the board to City Council, then it will be 60 days from that date.
Okay.
And as to your second, the status of the land is it remains open space land. It really nothing changes.
Until the construction actually commences.
No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Janet's absolutely right. It remains open space land, either through the 60-day period, or if there is a referendum, until the referendum is decided. But if either the 60-day period elapses with no petition, or if a petition and then referendum is voted down, then the land would be disposed of at either of those two junctions.
Okay,
to utilities.
great. And then would utilities, they would be able to use that land for the project from that period, that time onward, until the project, the transfer area, the disposed area, they will then be able to use that land for the project.
That's correct. And it'll be pursuant to the the IDMOU, the internal memorandum of understanding, interdepartmental memorandum of understanding. So those terms will be set out when utilities takes possession, when they can commence. There will be notice requirements and that type of thing. And they'll do their construction, of course, in phases, but that'll be addressed in the IDMOU.
Great, thank you very much. So my comments will be relatively brief, but they will start with an observation that I made when the tribal representatives were here earlier in the meeting, and that is some of us are becoming elderly in this process, and so we do, as Michelle observed, want to bring it to a culmination, whatever that is. And so I think tonight is an important step in doing that. So I look to this board, who is responsible, or which is responsible for overseeing the open space and mountain parks values and program. That will be our focus on, is this decision appropriately, does this decision appropriately safeguard, maintain, and sustain the open space values that the community has assigned it. So that is our challenge or goal. And despite the complexity of the other elements associated with this project, that is our sole goal, is to look at its value as far as the open space program is concerned. So having said that, I have to take my glasses off. I agree with all the comments that have been made on the staff's work, the diligence and commitment that has been demonstrated over the years, the willingness to take board direction and recommendations and very diligently and professionally deal with those. I do greatly appreciate and acknowledge, and so thank you for that. What I would like to do, though, tonight is to work our way through the motion language. The concern I have is that I think the language is not tight enough for the process. I think there are sufficient kind of potential uncertainties that the board, it's incumbent on the board to make sure that in this decision, it is clear on why we made it and what's involved as far as our making it. And so I'm gonna just read a couple of notes. So I think I would like to do this. The disposal question is a standalone question. We should vote that up or down. Having done that, my preference would be then to revisit the provisions that have been identified in the motion and see if there is, I don't know if there's additional language, but some perhaps different language that might focus or tighten some of the language that is in there associated with the provisions. So that's basically my concern, is that the one thing that troubles me to an extent is that the ID MOUs, in my mind, I see as the mechanism to enable whatever, actions or steps that take place in the future. And nowhere in the motion are they defined or acknowledged that is the mechanism for us to accomplish whatever it is that we think we need to accomplish. So my preference would be to identify in the motion language the fact that the ID MOUs are extremely important as far as the mechanism to accomplish the goals and objectives of the project. And they're important because not only for the board's and staff's edification, but for the public as well. And so the other thing that I am a little concerned about is that I do think that we should acknowledge that there is benefit in a periodic update on the project for the Open Space Board, for the City Council, and for the public. for that matter, so that the community knows kind of where things are and kind of what remains to be done, and basically has some sense of where the project stands. And so for me, those are kind of important things for us to talk about, to see if we can collectively think, well, maybe if we, add in, a sentence here or a phrase there that, that might improve the motion. And I know there's some concern about the fact that if we change the motion, then we have to go back through a public process, but that's not the case. We've already done the public process. It's the board's purview to then take the information that it has and make the decision. It's not a continuing public process as far as the disposal decision is concerned. We've had that. Now it's time to consider what we want and make the determination on what it is that we're going to recommend.
May I have a question to the attorneys that are present? So in the possible event, just to kind of address what you just brought up, that our resolution, there was a joint hearing, and there was sample language or recommendation that was jointly heard by council and OSBT and the public. Everybody weighed in on that language. If we come up with different language that we pass, and then city council takes a look at our languages and says, no, we actually kind of like the original language better, what happens?
Thank you for that question, Janet Michaels with the City Attorney's Office. What the charter authorizes is for the board to choose to dispose of the property or not. Anything beyond that is a recommendation that you make to City Council. We have a charter section, it's Charter Section 11, that says that all powers of the council, unless they're delegated by the code or by the charter to another body, unless they're delegated, all of those powers are vested in the City Council. So there's nothing that delegates to the board the opportunity to impose conditions on a disposal. So it becomes a recommendation. And it does not go back to public comment. It doesn't go back to council or to the board to reconsider. The IDMOU is really an administrative function. It is the city manager through staff implementing the direction, the policy direction of the city council. So that's what we're doing with the IDMOU. So I'm not sure about, having precise language. I could almost see it being conceptual, and, that we want to be sure that this is addressed or that, and that's what we tried to do in the recommendation for the motion. But these are all recommendations that you're making to the council, saying this is what we'd like to see.
And the council can accept or not those recommendations.
Absolutely, that's true.
Dave, I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
So Hal Halstein sent a fairly extensive email about an hour before the meeting, which I did not get a chance to read. But what my understanding is, based on skimming it and his testimony this evening, is he was suggesting that he had worked on a memo, I believe with you, maybe others, documenting that in fact, OSBT can do disposals with stipulations or conditions, which again, if I heard him correctly, he believed are binding and are not actually recommendations. And so can you comment on his comments and in the memo that you may or may not have jointly issued with Hal?
So I hesitate to give legal advice in a public setting. What I would say is that there is no authority in the charter for the open space board to impose conditions on a disposal. So once the decision is made, yes or no for the disposal, then anything that follows, how it should play out. For instance, if we were doing a disposal to a non-city entity, and I'm going to take a step back. Historically, these IDMOUs are really kind of a new creature. We're not really sure what happened in the past when there were other departments taking over open space lands. It could have been a handshake. I'm not sure, but Dan staff and we've decided that it should be tightened up with this. We need to have some kind of a process. And City Council passed an ordinance, I think it was in 2014, 8311, that says if there's going to be a transfer to another city department, you have to follow the disposal procedures. So this is really kind of a new process for us. But again, there's nothing in the charter that authorizes conditions. There's nothing in the code that authorizes the board to impose conditions. I know that other boards do that because it's specifically authorized, but it's not here. So it's a recommendation, and that's
So
how
you
we've
disagree
been
with
proceeding.
analysis?
Do you mind if I step in?
Hey.
Yes, so I guess here's what I would say. If we think about, there's a constitution, that's our charter, right? Then there are statutes, which are the law. And then there might be documents that are instructive or regulatory in nature. Those documents, so for example, a document that outlines a disposal process can't supersede the code or the charter. And so, and I very frankly, I think it's entirely possible that Hal's description is accurate, that exists in those disposal documents. It doesn't mean that it's permissible under the code or the charter.
Thank you for the clarification.
Mhm.
So that's a good segue into, again, my concern that the actions that this board take are clear and substantive and as accurate as they can be, so that the record accurately reflects what we did. So what I'm going to propose now is for us to move into, or for me to actually request a motion from the floor in a second. And if, just hang on a second, if the person, I know you're going to do
I've
that.
got it right here, I'm ready.
So it would be helpful if the person who made the motion can just briefly describe, why that motion was made, and then I will entertain a second. And if there's a second, then we will go into a discussion. So John, would you like to make the motion?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So we're making this motion, to dispose of 2.2 acres of land in exchange for 119 acres of land and water rights to rehabilitate it into wetland areas, which we believe is consistent with the open space charter and open space value. So, is there something else you're wanting me to add there?
Yeah,
Like I've got the motion I can read.
If you can read, perhaps not the entire motion, but the first paragraph, I think that would then help us focus on what it is that we're going to do.
Yes, do I need to read the whole motion or just?
Well, it depends on if your motion is the whole motion.
I would like to make the whole motion.
Then you should read the whole motion.
Okay.
Drink the water first.
I motion that the Open Space Board of Trustees moves to adopt a resolution to approve and recommend that City Council approve the request from the City of Boulder's Utilities Department to use and manage an approximately 2.2 acre portion of the Van Vliet open space property to construct, access, operate, and maintain elements of the South Boulder Creek Flood Mitigation Project pursuant to the disposal procedures of City Charter Article 12, Section 177, that will be documented in an interdepartmental memorandum of understanding between the Utilities Department and the Open Space Mountain Parks Department that includes the following provisions. 1, prior to use or management of the approximately 2.2 acre transfer area by the Utilities Department, the city will acquire the approximately 119 acre open space other OSO site and 30.2 shares of Dry Creek Ditch Number 2 water rights from the Regents of the University of Colorado at no cost to the Open Space Fund and in a manner that is consistent with paragraph 12, conveyance of land of the annexation agreement between the City of Boulder and the Regents of the University of Colorado, recorded in the records of the Boulder County Clerk and Recorder at reception number 039-16406 on September 27th, 2021, Said land and water rights will be managed by the Open Space and Mountain Parks Department for open space purposes, subject to the Utilities Department use for the mitigation project. 2, the OSO site and water rights acquired for open space purposes will be used by the Utilities Department for the mitigation project in consultation with OS&P staff until the restoration goals and regulatory and contractual requirements related to the flood project are completed. 3, the 1.9 acre temporary construction area used by the Utilities Department during construction of the flood project will be restored to the satisfaction of the Open Space Mountain Parks Department staff. 4, the transfer area will revert to Open Space Mountain Parks Department management if the flood project is not fully permitted or otherwise able to be constructed, or if the transfer area is no longer used or needed by the Utilities Department in the future.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
So the motion has been moved by John, seconded by Michelle. Is there further discussion on the motion? Hearing and seeing that.
If you want to call for a vote, go for it. Is that the next step?
Well, a vote is a next step, but it may not be the immediate next step.
Okay.
So what I would like to propose is the board considers some alternative language to some of the paragraphs in the motion to see if we think that the alternative language is more focused and complete than the motion language. So that would be my request. If there's no support for that, we will go to the vote.
I'll speak for myself. David, if there are specific parts of this motion that you're concerned about, I'd be curious to hear what those concerns are. And
Okay.
I think it would be in the public interest for you to share those, or maybe not. It just, if you have a concern, I'd like to hear.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know about the rest of the board.
Before anyone else speaks, if they want to, we're a deliberative board and it's our responsibility to deliberate. And so for me, I think working through the motion language provides the record for both, future staff and the public to know, not only our thinking, but, our recommendations or actions. And so I am a little concerned if we vote on the motion right now without having really considered it thoroughly in our process collectively. I know we all have looked at it in great detail, but we have not had the advantage of talking amongst ourselves about it. And I will use an example, Brady. I think that's fine. It's in paragraph 4 of the motion language, and it's the second part of that sentence, which has 2 ifs. The first if is the reversion of the transfer area if the project is not fully permitted or otherwise able to be constructed, which I'm fine with. It's the second if that I have problems with, and that is that if the transfer area is no longer used or needed by the Utilities Department in the future. In my mind, it goes back to open space if it is not used for the purpose for which it was disposed. And so there is no potential other use or purpose for that property. And so that would be my suggestion on revising that particular paragraph.
My understanding is that language is in there specifically for if 100 years in the future, the dam's reached the end of its life and we have some high-tech flood mitigation that we've installed, up the creek, 100 years from now.
If there's any water in the creek.
Yes, exactly, right? Like, we don't know what the conditions are gonna be at that point, but, I read that as like, a condition, that can be used, 100 years in the future beyond the useful life of the dam.
I will respectfully observe if it's 100 years in the future, then the people 100 years in the future are certainly sufficiently able to address that concern. For me, this is the concern for us on the table right now. So, and then another example, Brady, is that I would like language in there recognizing the IDMOUs and the significance of the IDMOUs as far as delineating or identifying, some of the general actions that will be taken, so that, there are 3 MOUs actually that are proposed in the staff memo. Conveyance IDMOU, which will be the conveyance of the property to the utilities department. The temporary construction area IDMOU, which addresses the temporary construction area, which I find in the motion, I don't think it's sufficiently described or clearly described as far as its status in the whole project. And then the third one is the mitigation and monitoring plan, which I think is extremely important, and the board ought to identify that, because that is certainly what is probably most important in our minds as far as the restoration and mitigation of project impacts, both on the disposed of property as well as adjacent property, and the mitigation of the impacts that will be done on the 119 acres that will be transferred to the City of Boulder Open Space Department. So those are examples of what I think we could look at possibly clarifying some of the language, making it a little more substantive and clear. Does anyone have any thoughts on that, one way or the other?
I have a question for the attorneys. So we have the motion that's bundled together here with these provisions. How do they interact if it's all in one motion? It's the proposal piece of it, and then there's these 4 bullet points. Those are the 4 bullet points or recommendations?
Correct. The 4 bullet points are recommendations for what would be included in, and what it is really in addressing is the conveyance IDMOU. It's my understanding that it's not possible at this time to do the mitigation IDMOU because the utilities hasn't gone through the necessary permitting requirements. So it's not ripe to do that kind of an IDMOU. The same for the temporary easement area, the temporary construction area. Until that one might be a little bit closer, but it's an administrative function to just identify between staff, the city manager directing staff, how the project is going to take place. What restoration is going to be required. We won't know that until there is permitting. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but until the permits are issued, we won't know what all of the mitigation requirements are. So we can't delineate those in an IDMOU tonight. Does that answer it, Mr.?
I will respectfully explain. I don't agree with that analysis, Janet. I'm not proposing that we do an IDMOU. What I'm proposing is that the language says that the IDMOUs will do, will accomplish the goals of, the permits or something, so that the board provides direction to staff on its expectation for what's going to happen as far as the disposed of property.
Yeah, so if I may, section 13 of the charter provides that council, and that would be any board or commission with delegated authority from council, may not direct staff. And so that you set the policy and then the city manager does the administrative work.
But we, as a board, can say what we think the IDMOU should do.
I think that would be through a recommendation.
Yeah, where we can make a recommendation in that regard. We're not directing staff as to how it actually specifically says that, but we can say, you know, this is something that we recommend as far as, you know, it achieves the goals of, you know, the requisite permits, or, you know, whatever the language is that we come up with.
I mean, yeah, is implicit in that, it seems to me, is a concern that the staff won't do that. That if not for our motion, the staff wouldn't be, you know, drafting IDMOUs that would comport with the permits or other things. And as I said in my opening little blurb, my presumption is that we have professional staff that are acting in goodwill, and that will be taking what we say in meetings like this into account, as well as officially drafted resolutions. And so I guess I just respectfully ask, do you think we have a different outcome if we change the language of this resolution?
All I will say very respectfully, Brady, is that you are, I'm sure, well aware that presumption, assumption, and intuition in governance is never a good policy. If you want something to happen, you write it down and it becomes clear. And so it's not that I don't think staff can do it. I just think that, you know, the board, it's incumbent upon the board in its decision to say, you know, here's why we made this decision, and here's why we think that, you know, it's important to, here's what we think is important for it to do. And so it's not that I don't trust staff, because having been one for many years, I implicitly do that. But I just think that, you know, 10 years from now, much less 100 years from now, people are going to look at this and you know, and I want to be sure that they know here's what the board did when it made its decision. I just think that's good governance. Let me give you one other example. It's the temporary construction area. So I have a little concern that the 1.9, paragraph 3 in the motion doesn't really speak to the status of the temporary construction area. Here's a suggested language that I said: the 1.9 acre temporary construction area used by the utilities department during construction and restoration of the flood project will be retained by the Open Space Mountain Parks Department and is not subject to the disposal of open space land. The temporary construction area will be restored to the satisfaction of the Open Space Mountain Parks Department as part of the flood project mitigation plan. Specific provisions for managing this temporary construction area will be contained in the temporary construction IDMOU. I think that is much clearer than the language currently in the motion as far as what we determine the temporary construction area is. And there's no confusion. We're going to annex 4.9 acres, presumably in our next action. 1.9 being the temporary construction area. So I'm real concerned that in that decision, it looks like we're combining the areas. And I want to be sure that everyone understands that 1.9 acres is not part of the disposal. It retains its open space mountain parks status.
May I chime in for maybe just a procedural suggestion? Dave obviously has 3 or 4 areas of adding a phrase or a sentence. And perhaps rather than seeking the will, can I do this, wouldn't the amendment process be something that could be followed? As he would make a motion to amend the wording, bring up suggested wording. If he gets a second on it, then it can be discussed. If the amendments approved, that language becomes part of it. Rather than, I would say it's probably time, and unless you want to just get gut feel, hey, if nobody's here with me on any of this,
Well, that's
I'm gonna step down, or go to the amendment process and let's just, and then call it.
I am ready to do that, but I don't want to do that if there is no support and, it's just going to be, everything is going to be not supported because that's a waste of everyone's time. So that's what I guess I'm asking for is, do board members think that it's worth the time and effort to look more specifically at some of the language in the motion before we vote on it?
I'll weigh in really quick. So, I think for me, I've studied the charter and don't see the authority to impose conditions. And I'm not a big fan of the way that the motion is drafted because it says that the board moves to adopt the resolution to approve and request that council, recommend the council approve the disposal. And that's probably where it should end, subject to the procedures in charter, Article 12, Section 177. But then it goes on to say that the disposal will be documented and, so it's kind of like, it's embodying all these 4 bullet points and the IDMOU obligation in our motion, like we have the authority to require it. And so my take on this is I'm pretty passionate about making sure that the CU South area remain open as much as possible to public use in the coming years, before, during, and after the project, because it's a really vital part of the system for public use. And I guess I could argue we need a bullet point 5 that says that. But I'm just gonna make that as a separate recommendation and see if I can get 3 votes among you guys to ratify that as a recommendation. That's unrelated to this actual binding vote. So I guess my feeling is I'd rather approve this. I'm gonna vote for this disposal. So I would rather approve it with the language in the staff report. Because even though I disagree with it, it was in the 22nd, the packet from the 22nd that city council saw and that the public saw. And I don't want to monkey with it, and I don't want to send council something they haven't seen before. Or I would, if everybody really wants to monkey with it, then I'd say, fine, monkey with it. And the way to monkey with it is to say, we approve the disposal, period. And then make all the monkeying as a recommendation.
So I support that. What I was going to suggest is exactly that we retain the language for the disposal and then start a second paragraph that says, in addition, the board makes the following recommendations. So that there's a disposal action that's discrete and distinct, and then attached to that decision are some recommendations that basically augment the understanding of, or what the direction or recommendations are of the board. I think the board should be making some recommendations regarding its expectations for the open space property, both the disposed of property as well as the adjacent property that will be impacted.
I would be open to making a separate recommendation to council outside of this. I worry about editing this at all. This was what was publicly noticed to the public that we'd be voting on. This is what they commented on. And for us to change it, I have concerns about.
I hear those. I'm going to return to Janet and Teresa and say, though, that's what we do, right? We have a draft motion that the board considers we discuss it, we can make changes or modify it, and that's what we approve. And that's what goes to council. And so we don't have an additional public process on whatever it is that we change. We have the public process and we make those, that's our responsibility to make those determinations.
The board has the opportunity to make changes to the recommendations. It's,
And that's what-
part of your deliberative process.
Right. And that's all I'm saying is that I think that this action merits some, further discussion. But in not hearing overwhelming support for that, I'm not willing to spend the time trying to do that if the action is, voted down every time. That I get it. I don't need to be, it doesn't need to be emphasized that many times. So I guess I would say there's a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Harmon?
Well, no, I said I have prepared some recommendation language, but I really want to make it separate from this. And I guess the only thing I'd ask is, do folks think that the public use recommendation that I want to make should go after this item, or should it go after the annexation?
So let me respond to that. The concern I have is that we do have some what are called provisions, but recommendations in the motion. So if we then say, well, we want to make additional recommendations, that sounds pretty confusing to me. So we either make the disposal language motion and then we say in addition, then we include whatever recommendations, including, ones we suggest in the following that motion. So I basically see two motions, quite frankly, that there's a motion to dispose, and then there's a motion as far as recommendations are concerned.
I don't know. I think I probably would just support voting on the motion on the table.
Is anyone else reading? Michelle, John, do you?
I would also support the motion on the table. I'm happy to consider other recommendations in a separate motion if we have concerns or additional recommendations we want to make around public access or any of the concerns you have. To me, this is what, council and staff have asked us to approve. And, to me, it seems cleaner to, approve what they've asked us to, and then if we have any additional provisions, keep that separate and keep it as clean as possible.
I want to just chime in on the public access issue that you're referring to, Harmon. I think that should be separate from this, because this is really tied to the disposal and it's very specific. And I think what you're after is more exploratory and aspirational. And I think rather than muddying the waters with what's already a very complex issue, to take that later. And take a vote on the motion that's on the table now.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The question was whether to do it after
Oh,
the annexation vote, which I think is somewhat unrelated. Maybe the further recommendation that I'm going to propose should go after this vote.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
It seems like that's the appropriate place.
Talk about breaking it up again, so.
So,
And I would say if you have any further recommendations that you've drafted, that would be a good time after this vote to make those too.
So I'm going to call the question, but I want to remind the board that there is a motion that is included in a resolution that that is the conveyance vehicle to the council for the motion. And so the resolution is referenced in the motion, but we should not forget that there is a resolution that has numerous whereases, and then the therefores in the resolution are basically the motion.
But they're not identical.
they are not identical, And so I guess I would ask the board what its pleasure is as far as whether we want to.
I was following along with that, Dave, and when when John was reading it and it came up the 119 acres and the 30.2 shares, that's different in both.
Right.
So they're not identical. I just wanted to
Right.
make that. No.
But the motion calls for the resolution to be the conveyance of the action to council. And so we want to be careful on what it is that we're going to do.
Brady, could you point out the inconsistency you're seeing?
The, on number one, that 119 acres is listed and 330.2 is listed. And in my reading of the draft resolution in the packet, those are not listed.
Oh, it's not like there was different figures. It was one was listed and one
Yeah,
wasn't.
and so again, to be precise, they're not identical.
And
I did
with
not-
the, with the,
Did I, that there, maybe, are there two draft resolutions in this packet? Is there
No.
one further down?
well, there's the reference to the 2021 resolution, but then there's the final exhibit in the memo, which is exhibit.
Correct me if I'm wrong, 'cause
It's on page 56 of the memo.
G.
What's that?
They're defined in the recitals, so some of those terms, what is the transfer area? It's defined in the recitals of,
It's defined in the
Proposed.
recitals, but not in the.
in a motion.
So can we be clear on, so we need to be clear on two things. One is that we're going to, the resolution 2024-01 is going to be the conveyance document of our action to the council. And that conveyance document has to correspond with whatever language that we want to make sure is part of the motion. So we've got to decide which of the language will be part of the motion, of the resolution that will be part of the motion.
What's the difference? Because I'm seeing G, it talks to
Yeah, but
119 acres.
the resolution we just read is basically two, and then A, B, C, D, and E are the numbers, correct? What John just read?
Yeah, that's in the resolution. The motion is different. No, it is number 1, 2, 3, 4 rather than A, B, C, D.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that if they're not identical.
I mean, you're right. They're not
So it's
identical.
problematic. We have a motion of X language and it is not the same as what's in the packet. So
Janet, what should we do?
The language that sets up the bullet, the number are in the recitals. So you've got the proposed resolution 2024-001, and it gives recitals. What your motion is to adopt that resolution. And then you want to make additional, or you want to make recommendations. So I think that what you need for the motion is there. It's in the resolution. You're moving to adopt the resolution. Now, what you could do is adopt the resolution and you could make amendments to it. Dave had alluded to that earlier. So if there were specific provisions that you wanted to change, you could do that by amendment. Or if you wanted to add provisions, you could do that in the amendment. It seems like that would be a little bit cleaner because then you've got one document, you've got the resolution. That would be, as Dave described it, the conveyance document to the city council, what the board's motion was and what the recommendations are.
Yes, but the resolution language differs from the recommended motion in the packet. That, I think that's the confusion, even though the language in the recommended motion in the packet is contained in the resolution. I guess I will ask John if you would be willing to entertain what? Yeah, a friendly amendment saying that it's the resolution that we're voting on, which then contains the language in the motion.
I'm confused, so,
It is confusing.
so what's the suggestion?
That we approve the resolution which contains the motion language rather than just the motion language.
The resolution as written.
Right.
As read.
Resolution has.
As read, the resolution as John read it.
No, as
As it's written
here, which, yeah.
He hasn't read the entire resolution. He read the whereas.
So there
No,
would be
no,
the,
he did not read the whereas.
Well, he read what supposedly constitute the whereases. Yes,
So
Maybe we be of assistance.
yes.
Great. So an appropriate motion, if you so chose to make it, well, first procedurally, what one might do is withdraw a motion and then introduce a new motion to adopt resolution 24-01 as outlined. Is that the right number, everyone?
Yes,
Okay, I'm just making sure.
yes.
As outlined in the packet published with this evening's agenda.
Published with what?
This evening's agenda.
Would you entertain that, John, to withdraw your motion?
And we would,
Make a new one, make a new motion.
are we all comfortable?
What's the new motion?
That we adopt the resolution.
the resolution is what will become describing the action of the board,
Right.
rather than trying to describe it in two different parts, right?
Right.
I think that's what.
So is the suggestion that we adopt this recommendatory resolution by vote of the board that goes to council as our recommendation? And then the actual disposal motion, we get rid of all the numbers underneath it and we just recommend disposal. We dispose and recommend the disposal to the council.
The one clarification I want to make is that the bullet points 1, 2, 3, and 4, the recommended motion is what should be in the IDMOU, not the resolution. So it's the 1, 2, 3, and 4 is not referencing the resolution. The resolution stands in that. But when we do the IDMOU, let's say this summer, and that's the conveyance, part of the recommendations of what should be in the IDMOU are 1, 2, 3, and 4.
So you're not concerned that the language in the resolution is not identical to the language in the motion?
Well, the resolution will be part of the motion because it's adopting the resolution. So you've got the resolution, and then you're also recommending when it comes down to the IDMOU, not the resolution, the IDMOU, make sure you have these items in there. I think that's the difference.
The resolution enacts the disposal. So the resolution itself would do that if you adopted the resolution.
Do you see any language in the resolution that says that open space board resolves to dispose of that property that's described and recommend to city council that they also?
Yes, the resolution, section 2.
Right.
Yeah,
First sentence.
Dan, can I jump in for a second?
Sure.
And maybe help. This is Bethany Collins. So I think some of the confusion and what Janet and Teresa were trying to get at, and I understand some of the confusion that like 2A doesn't exactly match 1 in your motion because it doesn't say 2.2 acre transfer area. It just says use or management of the transfer area. And again, it's because the transfer area is defined up in the recitals, right? And so where you would carry forward in any kind of resolution or legal document, the defined transfer area is 2.2 acres of the Van Vliet open space, right? So that's carrying through. So the language should be identical except where terms were defined in the recitals. Does that help?
Yeah. And there's also attachment A to the resolution, which actually has the map defining the two areas as well. So there's
So-
further description.
Bethany, that is in section H of the recitals. What you
Yeah,
just said.
so for example, the transfer area is defined in H and the, and also the temporary construction area. So
Right.
those are carried through. So anything that's defined in the recitals would be carried through as their terminology versus redefining them in the agreement language or the resolution language. Does that help answer why they don't exactly match?
Believe it or not, that is helpful.
Oh, good. Sorry to jump in unexpectedly.
So thank you for that.
Sure.
My observation too is that there is some duplication in the staff motion and the resolution. And it could be cleaner, as you suggested, that you wouldn't have to mention points 1, 2, 3, and 4. You could close it at the adopt the resolution, because the resolution also says that same thing in a slightly different way. So you're conveying the same thing, but in one mechanism rather than two, one through motion language and the other through the resolution language. So there would be the opportunity, as I think had a little bit of momentum 10 minutes ago, if you wanted to shorten up this motion and take out what should be in the IDMOU, because that's already contained in the resolution, it could be a cleaner way to go.
Well, I'm also concerned that, why was there a resolution in our packet that we weren't gonna vote on? Shouldn't resolutions be adopted by a vote of the board? So if I'm on city council, I get this recommendation, I get a, in my packet for next week. I get that OSBT approved the disposal and recommends that we approve the disposal subject to this 1, 2, 3, and 4 conditions that are part of the IDMOU. I don't know when I'd go down and read this resolution that was never voted on or approved, and it's just, somewhere buried 50 pages down into the packet. I don't know why we have a resolution we were never intended to vote on. And
It
now
says
we're dredging it up.
the open space moves to adopt the resolution. That's the first sentence. So the
Right, but
resolution.
it didn't specify the resolution was 2024-01. It's just a
Right.
resolution. So who knows which resolution we're talking about? I read this as I'm adopting this resolution, the one that's in the box, as our motion. There was nothing that directed me to come to the conclusion that the resolution I was adopting was this thing on page 57 of the packet that said, attachment A. So I don't know, I think that should have been.
I think we can own that could have been clearer.
Yeah, I mean, the open
Thank you
space
for that feedback.
moves to adopt resolution 2401 to approve and recommend.
Right, and what I really think would look great would be, the open space moves to adopt resolution 2024-01, approve and recommend the city council approve the request pursuant to the charter period. That's it.
I think
That's what I'd like to approve.
I think that's the little momentum that it's been being brought forward.
That sounds good. Thank you, Harmon, for that. John, if you deem it appropriate, you need to withdraw your motion. And then we will consider a new motion.
I'll make a motion to withdraw my motion.
The seconder, is there a second?
I'll second that.
The seconder also agrees to it.
All in favor, raise your hand. So no, we're withdrawing the motion on the floor. Right, so that passed unanimously. Okay, John, if you would so desire, you can offer another motion, or Harmon can help you offer another.
I believe I've captured it correctly here. We're just adding this in and then ending at the end of the paragraph. Is that?
We're gonna strike some language in between.
I think you put a period right after the department, right?
177.
And it should be captured in the IDMOU at Mount Parks Department, period. And then don't describe what's in the IDMOU because the resolution doesn't.
Well, doesn't the resolution describe the idea? No, no.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So why don't we just stop at section 177? If you want all that pursuant to charter procedures stuff still in the motion language, put a period after section 177 and just identify, adopt resolution 2024-01 at the top.
Okay, so we have it up there now, it looks like. Thank you, Leah.
Well, assuming it's correct.
Yes. Can I ask the city attorneys on this, for your opinion?
Hold on, we're both getting
Okay.
our positions last round.
Just the very top, Teresa, ending at section 177.
Just to clarify, if that's solid, back to Harmon's question, there's no need to approve separately the resolution because by referencing there, in essence, the board is adopting the resolution.
Correct, and resolution section 2 speaks specifically to disposal.
Yes. All right. What if we change the word to and in the first line? Because we're adopting our resolution and we're approving and recommending that city council. Because again, the resolution has lots of recommendatory language that isn't binding on city council, right? So changing of the word to the word and separates the recommendations that are in the resolution with the action of approval and recommendation, which is our charter obligation.
And we already have the and after.
Yeah, she already changed it.
Well,
Something looks off though.
yeah, it says and.
No. Yeah, because we are approving and recommending that council approve.
We're adopting the resolution and we're approving and we're recommending. Okay.
And we don't like Oxford commas.
And we got a semicolon in here, don't we? Because I love semicolons.
All right, any other suggestions for the motion?
So we're adopting, we're approving and recommending that council approve.
Yes. All right. No other suggestions? I'll make a motion that the Open Space Board of Trustees adopt resolution 2024-01 and approve and recommend that city council approve the request from the City of Boulder's Utilities Department to use and manage an approximately 2.2 acre portion of the Van Vliet open space property to construct, access, operate, and maintain elements of the South Boulder Creek Flood Mitigation Project pursuant to the disposal procedures of City Charter, Article 12, Section 177, period.
I'll second that.
So John has moved the motion and Michelle has seconded. Is there any further discussion? Brady? No? Okay. So I will call the vote. We should do a roll call on this one. So Harmon?
I vote yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Brady?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. So it passes unanimously. So now we are on to,
Could I make my additional recommendation?
well, we, as a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So we're on to the recommendations as a motion.
Okay,
Harmon?
For the benefit of the board, I wrote this out and I emailed it to Leah. So would you mind putting it up on the screen, Leah?
Not at all.
Thank you. So I just think that this, I've talked about some of the things that I feel strongly about CU South as a recreational area and now an amazing opportunity for the public to see and participate in understanding what's going on with an amazing river restoration, riparian restoration project. So I drafted this motion just as a recommendation that we'we'd like to forward to City Council, and I'm asking if we can vote on this. And I won't be offended if you don't like it, but because this is my passion. Recognizing the intense public desire for continued use of the CU South property, OSBT recommends to OSMP staff that it pursue avenues to keep recreation access open on the 119-acre OSO site prior to and until restoration and/or construction on the OSO site begins. During and after the restoration of the OSO site, site planning and public access should be a priority. OSBT therefore recommends that public recreational access be restored as soon as practicable and at levels which appropriately balance conservation, restoration, and recreational needs. To facilitate the foregoing, OSMP, maybe there's a should missing there, should work with the University of Colorado to keep recreational access open to CU's remaining lands. The OSO site represents not only a great opportunity for riparian restoration and reconnection of the South Boulder Creek floodplain, but also a great recreational and interpretive opportunity for the public, allowing the public to observe at close range the restoration of floodplain and the native ecosystem on the OSO site, and also to invite the public to recreate there as the public has for decades, is vital to achieving the balance of open space land for open space purposes, which is specified in the charter. So I just wanted to point out, this is really aspirational. This isn't binding. This is, first of all, it's a recommendation, it's not binding, but second of all, it's really not specific to any kind of actions that I'm saying. I think the open space staff needs to do inventories of, what kind of trail access is being eliminated and what kind of trails need to be, made available. This is just really aspirational language to get it on the record how important we think open public access and interpretive and recreational opportunities are on this site, and recognizing that there's going to be a dangerous construction project going on. So only within what's practicable is in there as well. So that's my pitch for this additional recommendation.
So you made that as part of a motion. That's a motion. So there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I would love to second it. Thank you for putting this together, Herman.
Michelle seconded. Is there further discussion?
I have a question, and Dan, put you on the spot since that's your job sometimes. So in the packet, it says the OSO site will be closed to the public during mitigation project construction and consistent with new OSMP acquisitions and regulatory oversight. It will remain closed until all permit conditions have been satisfied and a management plan for this newly acquired OSMP area is developed. So could you comment on that and how that does or does not dovetail with the motion that Harmon has put forward, and how, just comment on those two?
Sure. Well, I mean, in regarding the construction period, which, Don, correct me if I'm wrong, could be, in terms of the intense construction, is probably at least a half a year type of endeavor, which we're going to have earth moving equipment. So, I mean, for us, I think public safety would be number one. And it's likely the whole area is going to be fenced off and erosion control measures and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a pretty intense construction zone. So during construction, yeah, my initial concern is like, are we insinuating to the public, like, don't worry, life's not going to change for you when it is, so a little bit of like, I don't want to be in the business of false advertising here. So I think it is clear that during construction, that site, and maybe not every 100, maybe it's 115 acres or whatever it is likely going to be fenced, erosion control stuff, and earth moving equipment all over the place for a good part of that first year. And then you have revegetation, hand planting, seeding, which, for the half year after that, it's going to look, minuscule. It's still going to look like a pretty rough site. Then you have year 2 and 3, which is further seeding. So I'm not saying right offhand that nothing can happen other than that throughout that period. I'm just saying, until we understand exactly how that mitigation construction is gonna look like, to insinuate to the public that, you know, you'll still have access to the area, may or may not happen. And so I'm a little worried about the optics here.
And
But having said that, it's question number 2. After we acquire a new property, yes, typically what happens is public, the land art is not open straight away because we need to go in there and assess the condition of the property. Public safety, are there abandoned wells on there? Is there mine chutes? Is there, and these things are all things that we do encounter. Are the buildings secured that are on the property? And I'm not talking in general. You know, what is the fencing and the gate opportunities? Or is there already a pattern of use that where is it coming from? So that assessment period is something that we do to make sure that when and if the property is open, that we have a good sense of what should happen safely and how. And ideally, we would undertake a site planning process to kind of put the infrastructure in needed to invite the public in. So yeah, that is typically what is done.
And I think just one more point is where I get a little concerned is and a management plan is developed. And that is just kind of ambiguous. And I also know how many plans you are working on. I just wonder is that a concern? Is there a chance that this thing's gonna be sitting ready to go and it's just waiting for us to develop a management plan?
I think we have committed to developing a site plan for this site. I think what I'm hearing is the timing for the development of that site plan is really important to this, to the community and to this board. And I think staff could definitely work on incorporating site planning at a pace that would be satisfactory to the board. But yes, we would need to go cycle. I mean, for instance, is this 119 going to be an island? Is CU as a private landowner going to close the site off? Does the construction of the dam mean that for 8 months, the whole area has to be closed for, you know, I don't know these questions. I don't even know yet if you all do based on staging of the construction project for the dam itself, but where is the access points to this 119? One, if there aren't any, then we have to find access points on the OSMP system to come to the one. What do they look like? How would people access? What would be the rules? I mean, I hate to be bureaucratic on you, but there's a lot of considerations for what a public use pattern may be with the adjacent lands being unknown. Like, where's the parking going to come from? Where's the trail access going to come up? If CU is on board and they're saying, yeah, here's the new pattern, and we could see how that would tie right into the 119. And as soon as it's safe and the restoration project is out of hold and the regulatory agencies are good to go, sure, let's have the site plan be adopted and ready to go.
Dan, would you prefer, knowing the board's interest in this, would you prefer that you have an opportunity to kind of flesh out what you just talked about and maybe address that at the April meeting, rather than have this go as a motion now to council and give staff an opportunity to come back with some more substantive information?
And I've told individuals this, I mean, it's always great when something wasn't sort of on the docket and you're seeing it for the first time, just for staff to have a meaningful input into it if it's wanted and desired. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes the board just wants to speak to itself, and that's great. We know staff, you probably have your opinion, but if you are interested in having the staff, you know, have some meaningful input onto this, yeah, it would be great to have 30 days to sit down and think about this and come back with, yeah, you know, actually 80% of this is fine, or a couple of words here are an issue for us, or we do want to be clear that during construction, everything that's under construction will be closed. And if you all want to still put a motion that says something to the contrary, that's okay.
So I don't think it says that to the contrary. I think, you know, my take on this is I'm sympathetic to what Dan's saying. But I also, you know, heard him say that site planning and public access are a priority for staff. It says site planning and public access should be a priority. I heard him say that, we can't predict when it's gonna be safe or practical for people to get back on the site, and the motion says public recreational access should be restored as soon as possible, which implies that it was taken away and then it has to be restored. And as soon as practicable at levels which appropriately balance conservation, restoration, and recreation needs. There's nothing in the way that I perceive, this motion or this recommendation is written. First of all, it's purely a recommendation and an aspirational one at that. And second of all, there's nothing in it that that really binds or even attempts to bind, because it can't bind as a recommendation. But there's nothing that even attempts to bind the city to, open it all up. It says, you guys got to balance the conservation, restoration, recreational needs. Do it as best you can. We'd like to see this thing open for as many people to use as possible. And then the final paragraph talks about, this is a great living laboratory. I mean, I envision places where, there might be like one little interpretive trail on a boardwalk into one of the riparian restoration areas so that people can, really get to see what does this frog habitat look like, as it's growing back. I think that's just an incredible opportunity for the public. And that's what I wanted to get across. I did not want to bind staff to do anything prescriptive. And so this is one of those cases where respectfully, I don't really want input in April. I want this in here now as an aspiration. If other people agree with me, let's vote. If I'm alone on this, then don't.
And can I just mention one thing that we do need to keep in mind, which is that this property is being acquired for open space in order to offset the impacts of the flood wall and to satisfy permitting requirements for restoration. So we will have sideboards as far as recovery criteria from federal permits that we have to adhere to. And so we will not be walking into this like we do with many of our site plans with kind of a wide open slate of what we can do. So I think it is important to remember that. Some of that will be in our control and some.
Yeah, and if it sounds, well, if the will is you're gonna adopt something tonight, I mean, the one sentence that I just personally have a little bit of issue is, and I'm gonna take some words out because it is saying this, but during restoration, public access should be a priority. Like, the priority is the mitigation project, because that's the regulatory requirements, that's the offset from the disposal, that's a whole bunch. So during restoration, which means from year one, possibly to year three, that's the restoration period and the requirement period through 5. Public access.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't kill me to take out during and make the A capitalized in the word after.
Is the heartburn here that like some of this land may never have public access again, or the majority of it, or?
Well, I would imagine that if we want it to be maintained as a high ecological restoration site, the likelihood that we would have miles of trails, or, I mean, like, is probably, if the goal was, hey, we still want it to be a very high, would probably be unrealistic. I mean, the balance would be, yes, there probably would be some sort of a limitation of what trails would be out there, for sure. I mean,
it sounds like the concern is that due to the nature of the site for restoration, we may never be able to restore access to the majority of it. And we're sending a message to the community implying that, we are going to restore access.
and during the restoration, access will be a priority. The priority is to run the earth moving equipment, rip it all up, and then piece it all together and let it take hold. That's the short-term priority. If we send the message out that during the restoration, public access is a priority, I think there's an expectation that as soon as that bulldozer moves out of there, we're moving in. And I think the optics for that one sentence
And Dan, I
is a
think
little
that's
off.
even problematic from a permitting perspective, because I think committing to something like that would signal to regulatory agencies that we are not committed to success of the restoration.
David, do you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to just raise a point from the perspective of the annexation agreement. And so there's some kind of inconsistencies, and probably to Dan's point of we would probably want to think this through a little bit more completely than has been done so far. But if you'll just entertain this, the annexation agreement says the city will coordinate with the university on the development, and this is with regard to the 119 acres. But on the development of any new trail or the designation or abandonment of any existing roads and trails on land conveyed to the city. Any trail construction, connection, abandonment, use, maintenance will be at the city's sole discretion. No gates, trail connections, or other pedestrian or vehicular points formal or informal will be allowed from the remaining land interest, which is the CU's development zone, onto the city's open space without the prior approval of the city and only in accordance with the open space and mountain park department's policies, processes, and plans as amended. And then the next part in terms of the process part, which I think Dan is kind of indicating is going to be in the future. Within 10 years following the effective date of the annexation ordinance, the city will undertake a planning department to determine future uses within the open space zone that are within the city ownership, including but not limited to the consideration of future public access. So it's, I don't know, it's almost directly at least addressed in the annexation in a manner that's consistent with, I think, Harmon's motion language, but also with kind of the, and this is how you restore a wetland area issues that Dan, I think, was trying to get across earlier as well.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, David, and it's great to see you. It really is.
So let me bring it back to the board. Is there any further discussion?
Well, I would,
I'm gonna interrupt you,
Yeah.
Carmen. You've had your opportunity. I would like to make sure that everyone else and then.
yeah, no, I was gonna,
And you,
I just don't want it to go to a vote without.
okay, yeah, well, is there any further discussion?
I think what I'm reading here is that, you know, we're suggesting that the department do their best to prioritize this. And that's all we're asking for. You know, wherever possible, whether it be funding, people, time, you know, when the appropriate time comes. And, you know, if this is a uncomfortable resolution for us to pass, I'm happy to like get some feedback and let you all draft something, you know, kind of in the spirit of what we're asking here that isn't in conflict with the annexation agreement or has any problematic language in it.
And I would concur with that observation. I guess my preference would be, this feels a little rushed at this point, like we're trying to hook it onto the disposal decision. And I think we can make a motion and convey that to, the board can make a motion and convey that to council at any time. And so for me, it's like, well, I think it's worth taking the extra time to make sure, you know, we got everything the way we want it before it goes to council, rather than just sending them an aspirational. I would rather be more substantive than aspirational. So that would be my suggestion. And Harmon, you have the final word.
I think Brady wants to make.
Oh, Brady.
Yeah.
I was, yeah, behind you, I had one. Yeah, I got another question. This is somewhat related. It is related. Assume I'm a dog owner. I'm actually not, but assume I am. When will I ever walk my dog on this property, this 119 acres? And if so, when might that happen?
Well, I think that as we go into 100% design for the flood mitigation project, Don and the team will start to get a good sense for exactly all the micro details of what's out there. I can't answer that question. It would be a different question as a walker without a dog, would I be allowed there? That's a nuance to having a dog in the middle of a restoration site. So I'm not comfortable answering that question, but I think it would be fair to say that when we look at the 119 and we're able to project post-restoration even before construction of what it's going to look like, would there be opportunities for a viewing platform and education materials, and how would it hook under the site? I think those are all things that staff is more than willing to go to work on, and looking at what might be on CU property and how that could all be integrated. We're definitely committed to working on it. I think we're even committed to working on it quicker than that 10-year horizon. But to answer a specific question, can dog walkers be out on the 119 post restoration? I don't, that's sort of what comes out of the site planning process. As you know how these TSAs work, whether you like them or not, it's like, can dogs be unleashed, or is there seasonal leash closures that we need to consider? Is there active agriculture going on? I mean, all that's going to affect of where the trail would be, what's the proper use of the trail, are there seasonal leash closures or wildlife closures? That's what comes out of a planning process. So I'm not going to answer your question.
Michelle?
Yeah, so I just want to say that I don't feel like this motion or this recommendation is harmful. And I know you have some concerns about it. I think it's the board conveying our interest in reopening it when it's safe and you know, where it's possible. I think it's actually more harmful for us to not say anything at this point in time. We're impacting users, lots of users who currently recreate on this land really soon. And for us to be silent and just have that one blurb that you read off, Brady, that this is our practice to close it down and until we do a site plan, and then we're going to go through our processes / bureaucracy. And for us to not address our willingness or desire to reopen it, I think is harmful to the cause. And for the community to be like, you know, we supported this in 2 ballot measures and this project, and to say that we're not, you know, taking a stance on us wanting to reopen it for recreation, I think is just harmful to the overall cause, especially as this is a very contentious topic. And I think for the community to hear that we're interested in it, I know that you may not find it feasible at this point in time, and I look forward to us actually having those discussions. And as you go through the 100% design, as you go through site planning, you'll have opportunities to come back to us and say, you know, actually we can't do this, and we can do this, these other things. That's going to be an open dialogue. This is us just saying we're interested in this. So I don't find it harmful. I think it's more harmful for us to stay silent. Dave, this is your last meeting. And, you know, if you want to have a say in it, this is your opportunity as well.
Let me just say that in the Open Space Board's priorities, this is certainly called out. And from my perspective, the council, you know, should be aware that at any time, you know, the board may come to them in resolution or motion or whatever, following up on this. And so I would still recommend that we give staff, you know, some time to take a look at this and recognizing its importance and to the community and to the ongoing project. But we want to put it in the context that this isn't just kind of all of a sudden, you know, we're dealing with this. We want to make sure that it looks like it's, you know, in the context of, I think, the flood mitigation project. This is one of the facets that project has to determine. And so I'm not, I guess I see it as kind of a rush to judgment, which I know is not intended, but it just kind of feels that way. I'd much rather give staff a chance to kind of get their arms around this, and then have the board discuss it more thoroughly before it goes to council. And that doesn't mean it's going to be months out there. I think it can happen, like I said, by the next meeting, if that's what we desire. So it's not that I oppose it, but I think the timing, there's a timing component that is a little troublesome. Harmon, you have the last word.
Can I add one
John
more thing
wants to
very
add
quickly? I fully support the spirit of this, right? I have some very valid concerns that were brought up around the permitting, for the restoration area. And I would feel a lot more comfortable, if we got the language cleaned up and, passed it in a way that isn't gonna be problematic for the project as a whole.
Harmon, okay, thank you, John.
So, first of all, I think what I heard David Gear say is that this isn't non-compliant with the language of the annexation. This actually dovetails nicely with it. And I heard Dan say that the during restoration part is troubling. And I'd be willing to, if Michelle's willing to amend the motion and she's willing to amend the second, to just take the during and part out of the second paragraph. So it just says after the restoration. I don't know how you feel about that, Michelle. You'll probably end up with the last word unless it's on the record. And, again, I just think this is an important aspirational statement to make, and to think of it as something that could frighten off agencies or bind staff is just not legally correct. This is a recommendation, pure and simple. And I think it expresses the desires of community members who I know and mine, and I'm gonna own that. It's important to me, so I'll put it out there. I'm happy for you all to vote however you want.
So I'm gonna call for the vote on the amended motion, which I can't see, but have we made the corrections that Harmon requested?
You want it bigger?
I can do that too. No, I can see it on Michelle's face.
Okay.
So are both of you okay with the language as it currently exists?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's do a vote. I'll do a roll call on this one. Harmon?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Brady?
Yes.
And I will vote no for the reasons that I outlined previously, that I think it's premature until staff gets a better handle on what it's actually gonna look like. But I don't disagree with the importance of the intent. Thanks. Great. Dan, I think.
Well, moving right along, I think some attention is gonna be directed to the next item, which is a public hearing on annexing some of the OSMP land into the city. And with that, I believe Bethany Collins is gonna give us a very brief presentation. And obviously this item was supported in your packet as well. So Bethany, it's yours.
I was gonna say, aren't you gonna give everybody a break? But I guess we're just moving.
Oh, well, I guess we.
You're a breath of fresh air.
Temperatures are dropping.
Stop rain. Leah, do you want to share the presentation, or you want me to?
I thought I just did, Bethany, but give me 1 second and it's coming up.
Okay.
Oh, I just opened PowerPoint. Sure, hang on.
All right. Good evening, trustees. I'm Bethany Collins, Real Estate Senior Manager for Open Space and Mountain Parks. So running in parallel with the disposal item you've just considered, we have the proposed annexation initial zoning for the area we've been discussing, which relates to the construction and operation of a portion of the South Boulder Creek Flood Mitigation Project. Next slide, please, Leah. The proposed area for annexation is located at 5600 Table Mesa Drive. It includes just over 4 acres of city-owned land currently managed by OSMP, seen in green, and 23 acres of adjacent US Highway 36 right-of-way for a total of about 27.4 acres. Again, decimal points rounding, we're at about 27.4. Currently, this area is within Boulder County jurisdiction and is zoned as rural residential. Next slide, please, Leah. The 4.1 acres city-owned portion of the proposed annexation includes the land where the flood wall outlet works and groundwater conveyance infrastructure will be located, as well as the temporary construction area for the South Boulder Creek Flood Mitigation Project. Annexing this area will provide near and long-term jurisdictional clarity and permitting continuity for the construction and operation of this city-owned and managed facility. Next slide, please. Annexation is the process to incorporate land into city boundaries. Land may be considered for annexation if it complies with state annexation statutes, the policies of the Boulder Valley Comprehensive Plan, and the city's charter and land use code. The BVCP provides a framework for annexation and urban service provision within the city. Particularly relevant to this application is policy 1.17 subsection H, which states that publicly owned properties in Area 3 are allowed to be annexed if they are intended to remain in Area 3 and will require less than a full range of urban services, or are being included in city jurisdiction for health, welfare, and safety reasons. If a property is annexed, zoning is also then established consistent with the land use designation in the land use map of the BVCP. So because a portion of the proposed annexation site is currently owned by the city and managed as open space and designated as open space acquired under the BVCP, staff believe that the changes to the planning area, zoning, and eventual land use designation for this site are considered open space related elements of the BVCP, and that OSBT is to review the annexation and make a recommendation to City Council on whether or not the annexation should be approved consistent with Article 12, Section 175E of the Charter. Next slide, please, Leah. So looking at the BBC planning areas map, the city-owned property is within Area 3, and portions of the CDOT right-of-way are split between Area 2 and Area 3. Area 2 is the area where annexation into the city for urban development can be considered if consistent with relevant BBC policies. And Area 3 refers to the area where the city and county intend to preserve rural land uses. Next slide. The BVCP land use designation for the annexation area include open space acquired on the city-owned property and a combination of park, urban, other, and public, semi-public within the right-of-way. If approved for annexation, any changes to the land use designation will be reviewed by OSBT as part of the typical process during the next major or minor update of the BVCP. Next slide. As part of the annexation process, the city must also assign zoning to the property. The zone district proposed in the application is to apply public to the city-owned property and right-of-way. Public zoning is defined as public areas in which public and semi-public facilities and uses are located, including without limitation government and educational uses. You can see here also there's public zoning applied to several properties adjacent to this area. Next slide, please, Leah. In terms of city policies on annexation, the site may be considered for annexation with a portion located in Area 2 and a portion in Area 3 under the conditions allowed via the BVCP policy 1.17 section H if they meet the criteria that they be publicly owned. They remain in Area 3, so Area 3 annex is the category applied to Area 3 properties within the city boundary. They will not require the full range of urban services, or that they are being included within the city for health, safety, and welfare reasons. Next slide, please, Leah. So as it pertains to some of the open space and natural elements of the plan, the annexation will also facilitate construction of the South Boulder Creek Flood Mitigation Project, which addresses several BVC policies related to the ongoing life, safety, and environmental aspects of managing floodplains described in the natural environment section of the plan. including enhancement of wetlands and reestablishment of the historic natural floodplain hydrology in this area. This is also consistent with OSMP charter policies, charter purposes and master plan strategies. Next slide. So in conclusion, staff recommends OSBT make a recommendation that council approve the proposed annexation consistent and, annexation and as proposed in the motion language here. And I'll also add that David Gear is here, as well as Kathleen King, who can speak a bit more if you have specific annexation related questions.
Thank you, Bethany. I'll return it to the board. Are there any comments, questions, or thoughts?
What was the reason for including US 36 in the annexation? It makes the map prettier, sure, but I assume there's a good reason that it was included.
Yeah, sure. A portion of the project, if you remember, the flood wall is scooched up, I guess you could say, next to the US 36 right away. So the actual construction area or area for construction, including rerouting the path and adding potential fill and that to the other side of the flood wall is in the US 36 right away. So in order to make sure the entire construction project is, and facility is in the same jurisdiction, it includes the US 36 right of way. And please, David or Joe, correct me if I got that wrong or if you want to elaborate.
Yeah, the only thing that I would add to that is that the property on the north side, the Van Fleet North property, is already within the city limits. We're annexing a little portion of the Van Fleet South property, and it makes a logical city boundary.
It does make the map prettier.
It does not.
Thank you, Bethany. That answers my question.
Bethany, you've coined a new planning term, scooch. I really like that. Harmon, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I thought David Gear was gonna mention how the annexation statute allows for the annexation of streets and rights of way that are adjacent to the portion of property being annexed that's owned. So, the city can do that by state law, and it makes sense to do it.
Right.
And then I just wanted to say that I think, getting rid of the multi-jurisdictional aspects of this and not having, county permitting requirements and all that stuff in part of the project is great. Makes sense.
Are there any other comments or questions? Do I hear?
Public hearing.
What?
It's a public hearing.
Oh, right. Trying to get out of here. Smell hard. As I was so gently reminded, this item is scheduled for a public hearing. Sam, do we have any public to hear?
There's no one signed up in advance. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand now. We do have one hand raised right now, Lynn Siegel. Lynn, you should be able to unmute yourself. We're just getting the timer up right now. So that should be up in just a moment.
Where's the timer?
We're just getting that up right now. Sorry about that. We'll restart it. Apologies, we have to restart it. We're still getting the timer set up. Apologies.
Countdown timer.
You're gonna turn off the signal.
Is it a touch screen?
Okay. Okay.
No, the red wire.
TV's had enough.
Get the timer up.
Oh my goodness, sorry. Oh, you did? Okay.
Oh, you got 5 seconds. Becomes incredible as a cucumber.
Right? I like you later.
Apologies for the technical issues. If you're joining us for a vote, we were just having an issue with the TV in the room, but we have the timer up and ready to go. Lynn, you have unmuted yourself, so we'll get this timer started and you should be able to speak now.
Do you want me to say something? Okay, I guess.
There you go. We can hear you just fine.
Yeah, this land needs reclamation before anything's done here. This whole thing is a charade. The City of Boulder and City of Boulder was cut out of the competition for purchasing the property originally 20 years ago or whenever that was, when Flatirons Gravel and Larry Frey was talking to CU in 23 private meetings. The agreed upon price was a gifting to Flatirons Gravel of $5 million for a tax credit, which put the city out of the competition because we could have bought it for around 10 million, but we couldn't buy it for 16 million. So the whole thing is unethical. And the whole point was the city didn't want to buy it until the land was reclaimed. Now, CU can get away with that because they're a state entity and the state can cover them for liability, but the city of Boulder's a small place and cannot handle that kind of an irresponsible purchase with that kind of a liability. So I certainly don't approve of anything that will promote this situation and the open space towards a remediation of 100 years when we're paying 63 to $100 million to raise with fill dirt CU's campus so that they're 500-year floodplain and we're 100-year. And this is not in the best interest of the health, public safety, or welfare of the citizens of Boulder. It violates that for the BBC plea and whatever things Bethany brought up. This is a travesty that this thing is happening. I hope that the citizens can put on a great campaign. I'll go door to door. I'll outrun my brother fighting for this to reverse this very bad decision and to get us on the right track with the health and safety of the people of Boulder, with 16 other major floodplains and drainages that need attention, and not for this one, which is overly costly and beneficial to CU. CU's great. I've got 3 generations of family that went to school there, but they aren't that great. Sorry. So yeah, I adamantly disapprove of this land disposal towards this very inadequate mitigation. And I think that's in the best interest. I think my interests are in the best interests of the city of Boulder. Thanks.
Thank you, Lynn. Sam, do we have any other public?
I'm seeing no hands. If you'd like to speak now, please raise your hand. No other hands.
Great, thank you. I'll bring it back to the board and we'll entertain a motion.
Been going all night. Why stop now?
John.
I'll motion that the Open Space Board of Trustees recommend that City Council approve the annexation of approximately 4.06 acres of land at 5600 Table Mesa Drive, LUR 2024-00001. Currently managed as open space within Area 3 and designated as open space acquired, OSA, under the Boulder Valley Comprehensive Plan.
I'll second.
There's been a motion by John, a second by Harmon. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I mean, Harmon, you broke my pattern tonight. I was seconding everything tonight.
Oh, I jumped in. I get into annexations. It's my world.
Yeah. We can do multiple.
No.
Any other discussion? Then I will do a roll call for the board. Harmon,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Brady?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so it passes unanimously. And with that, Dan, do we have any other business to?
No, I think the only business left is to give Dave a round of applause.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you can't get away with it.
It really has been an honor. I've, as many of you know, have been on both sides of the table. And all those times that I was on the other side of the table, I appreciated the board members and their dedication and commitment. And on this side, I'm appreciating staff for their dedication and commitment and experience. So thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure. I don't know how closely I will follow you in the future, but I will on occasion check in. So thanks again and have a good year.
But you'll be at the next meeting as a guest?
I will be if I'm invited.
Yeah.
You're
invited, Dave.
Is that when we make our remarks about?
I think we need a motion though.
I motion that we invite Dave to the next meeting.
Michelle, here's your chance to say.
The meeting is officially adjourned.
Where'd you go?
Yeah. Sorry.
Really?
My bad.
She thought it was too dangerous.
It's the Apple's last meeting.